So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions, as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's 1 vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are special to you? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are special to you.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days. You've known those guns a lot longer.
These are my babies.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest. This doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No.
This is
Like,
not.
don't do
this.
this.
Yeah.
Doing this to an executioner?
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Like this, like
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh man.
This theme's great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty. 1! I rolled a 1!
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Speculate listeners, and welcome, of course, to the amazing Arvanauts on my channel. It's good to see everybody. It is 8:15 p.m., October 22nd, 2021, and welcome to a special joint Speculate and my channel event, episode 7 of Rebel Crown, possibly the conclusion, ? We will see, of this amazing game that I am very fortunate to be able to play in. Just before we get started, if you haven't already done so, please consider following our channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, website arvanelleron.com, financially !ArvShop for the merchandise area, !ArvTrayon for the Patreon, that is my own Patreon, and subbing to the channel is helpful as well. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts, Library is the Tales and Tomes, the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and !Grayshade KS for more details about my Grayshade Kickstarter coming soon, TM. As always, !BLM, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, and !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others, and very important for people to, for you to reach out to others if you need help, and for them to reach out to you in that same situation. And last, but certainly not least, I want to have everyone highlight this time, Speculate, which is, of course, the podcast that I am lucky enough to have co-hosted for many, many years, now alongside 2 good friends whom I'm about to introduce to all of you. And Speculate also has a Patreon, which we're really trying to push people to. We have prep sessions available there on the Speculate Patreon just for Speculate listeners who are supporting the Patreon at a certain tier. We have multiple things that not only support the podcast, but also give you more access to stuff behind the scenes and elsewhere. So you can see Trifid just listed, the Speculate Patreon, which is patreon.com/speculate, and of course our website for all of this, which is speculatesf.com. And now, having said all of that, I'm going to unmute myself and apologize unreservedly for having interrupted anyone that I may have inadvertently did because I can't hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head on over to reveal this incredible crew that stands before you, not at all in a desperate position, not at all freaked out about what's going to happen to them, and fully convinced that Mike will be a kind and beneficent GM who will, fortunately at the end of our session, as we know, the Splendour had already achieved the throne, and this was just the aftermath episode. I don't know if everyone remembers that, but that's totally how it went down. And Mike, you wanted us to remind you that that's how it went down, so I'm just letting you know. That's exactly how it went down. It is my great pleasure to turn things over now to the Speculate co-host and good friend and beneficent GM, Mike Underwood. Mike, take it away.
Hey, everybody. I'm Michael R. Underwood, one of the co-hosts of Speculate, along with Greg, aka Arv, and Brandon. Tonight we are continuing and possibly concluding, but continuing our Rebel Crown campaign, Splendor and Shadow. Rebel Crown is a Forged in the Dark role-playing game by Michael Dunn O'Connor, and you can find it at narrativedynamics.itch.io. And we'll make sure to get that link in the chat at some point. So you can go check that game out if you would like. It's been a while since we played, so I am going to do a recap. But first, I'm going to invite the players to briefly reintroduce themselves to everybody, just in case we've got people who are new, and or if you've got like recent or upcoming things that you want to shout about so that people know about them. And we will start with Brandon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon O'Brien. Pronouns he, him, or they, them. I am a writer, poet, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the other third of the trio of hosts of Speculate, although I will be playing in this game as Rowan Byrne, the outlaw, who is struggling with guilt about making terrible decisions and resolving that guilt by making more terrible decisions.
Hi everyone, I'm DongWon Song. I'm a literary agent, and my pronouns are they and them. And I'm excited to, and I'm playing Harvest Honeysuckle, and I'm excited to see where we go tonight.
And I am Alex Acks. I play the claimant Splendour Ciaran, and I'm a writer, and I'm pretty excited to see how things go out, especially now that I've had the throne, as Greg said.
Yep, it was a great episode. My name, as I said, is Gregory Wilson. Is my actual name. I am an author and college professor, and co-host of this amazing, awesome show that I'm honored to be able to do with these wonderful people. And I am playing the part of Veneration, the Vengeant, who was pronouns, I should say, he, him in both cases. And it was very exciting to be able to bring down my military rivals and destroy them utterly on the field of battle. As we remember the Flight of the Valkyries happening while that went down. So it was very, very dramatic for all of us. Yeah, that's what happened totally.
All right, I'm going to invoke a rare GM resist, where
it's not that rare. Let's be clear.
We described that you have vanquished all your foes, and Ciaran has retaken the throne, but I have accumulated a lot of stress that I can spend. So I'm going to roll us back to a desperate position.
Oh, man.
Again, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I publish as Michael R. Underwood. My latest novel is Annihilation Aria, which is a found family space opera. And I have just recently restarted streaming video games on Twitch at twitch.tv/turbotango. I'm doing weekly streams on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm hoping to do a Tuesday stream this week alongside the early access release of Darkest Dungeon 2 to check that out. But yeah, updates and things like that you can find at my page at twitch.tv/turbotango. As I think I'm the last of the triumvirate to kind of do any amount of active streaming within the past few years. So I apologize for being late.
Make it up for lost time. It was good stuff. You got me to buy Trials of Fire, or get Trials of Fire, so it was good.
Yeah, cool. And because it's been a couple of months since we played, I am going to do a little bit of recap and make sure that we all feel good about like where we are fictionally, and then we will dive in for some action. When we last left, or when we last met our retinue of the Splendour Ciaran, they had spent a good bit of time convincing the rogue Sluagh assassin Katrina, an old Confederate turned rival of Rowan's, that the Splendor's like plan for a better version of what the kingdom could be was in fact a good idea, enough that after some tumultuous conversations and threats and maybe near misses with death, Katrina went off to convince the rest of the Sluagh that they should throw in with Ciaran, and we shall see what happens with that. But then the group turned their eyes to the southern markets, which is the third of the three major holdings in the Sedgelands, which is the region or province of this kingdom that the group has started with and is kind of the scope of our mini-series, where when the group has assumed kind of full control over the Sedgelands. That kind of ends our like chapter of this story, which maybe we'll come back and do more Rebel Crown sometime later in the future, or maybe this will just be the, we'll be able to extrapolate from what happens here, what would happen later on in the story. And what that wrap up looks like will depend on what happens in play here. So things that you had learned was that the southern markets are controlled, like the kind of direct local leader is a merchant named Ledger. Ledger uses she, her pronouns, and Ledger is very hands-off and kind of above it all, like not so much like person of the people, but just kind of keeps everything moving in the southern markets. Officially, the southern markets are controlled by House Ciaran, who are vassals of House Tarb. And Ciaran are kind of being targeted by House Gearr, who have married into House Lolaire. And Lolaire is the ruling house that Ciaran is a part of and was usurped by Maedoc. So Maedoc is our big bad. And this level of recap is mostly for folks who are watching. But I want to try to be a little comprehensive since we are approaching the finale here. There is, however, a rival for Ledger in the southern markets in a merchant named Artair, he, him. Artair is a former mercenary who went into like logistics and quartermaster sales. So he does a fair bit of fixing and like pairing people with the right mercenary company. He sells arms, supplies, the things that you would need to operate a mercenary company. He trades in those and leans on his existing relationships and his understanding of what that life is like. Artair has been making some noise about trying to take more control over the southern markets. And I believe that Venner and Harvest did some reconnoitering and discovered that Artair is a bit overplays his hand, like acts like people work for him who don't yet work for him. And perhaps most importantly, had overheard that Rowan overheard Artair saying that he had made arrangements that would soon mean that the kind of question of local control would be taken care of, but you all did not hear exactly what that looked like. The plan that was sprung to kind of get the loyalty of Ledger and take control of the southern markets was to propose an exhibition tournament or an exhibition match as like a day festival event that Artair could make money on the gambling and like concessions and all the things around a special event, building on the kind of traveling exhibition swords person shows that Harvest has been doing around the province. You pitched that, things were put together, and then the group made the engagement roll and it came out with a desperate situation. So as we rejoin the group, we see an elevated platform about 4 feet off the ground, and it's 20 feet by 20 feet, and that's where the fight will be. And then all around it, there are stands and places for people to watch. And there are, let's say, somewhere in the low hundreds of people, kind of in this shot here. And Harvest is up on the platform, and then out comes from the other corner, Barra, a veteran who is Venner's rival because Barra was the line commander who executed the orders given by Maedoc when Maedoc betrayed Venner during an old military campaign from before Ciaran was overthrown, where basically Venner and Maedoc disagreed about what should be done, and Maedoc just kind of threw out Venner's advice and had Barra execute these orders to fairly grisly results. Is there anything else that folks want to go back and touch on or have questions about? Okay. So where is Ciaran and or Rowan and or Venner? Where would you have set yourselves up? Because I think it is equally possible that one of you could act first, or that we open with some initial role for Harvest in the contest with Bara, and that I leave to y'all. Where do you want to zoom in first for the first action?
I imagine that we were to a certain extent going to have played it a lot like we did when we were dealing with the tournament with Rift's Gain. So Ciaran is probably like disguised in the crowd because otherwise it makes everyone else super nervous. So I don't think I'll be in a position to do much.
Yeah, I mean, especially because of the presence of Bara, I mean, I imagine that I'm both like very, very invested in what's going on for obvious reasons, but I also probably am not stupid enough to be like, you know, Harrison Ford's character at the end of the Fugitive movie where he's just like walking up to the guy and being like, yes, you big bad villain, come with me to the room and we'll discuss this in a place where no one else can see us. Like, you know, like I'm not going to do that. So probably I don't know that Venner would ever be disguised though beyond what he absolutely has to. So I'm probably back somewhere, probably towards the back of the crowd, I guess, where I can see both Ciaran and Rowan, but probably to one end so that I can kind of, if need be, get to the front and to the platform if I need to be there. If things go south is what I would say.
I think I'm walking the crowd essentially. I'm trying to stay within range of keeping the platform within my view, but I'm mostly trying to like look out for Arter if he ever like materializes, because I'm very curious whether some shenanigans are about to be afoot. I think that responding to it before it gets to the platform would be ideal for everybody, because if you could still keep the show on the road while mitigating any issues, that would be ideal.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit you can get without a roll. Arter is in, like, he's not within 20 feet of the like the ring, so to speak, but he's within 50 feet and has several armed guards nearby, and seems to be like basically monitoring the gambling portion here, where there's a bunch of activity because Bara has just emerged, and Bara has her own reputation and is known in the kingdom in the way that Harvest is, and now especially known in this province. But if you wanted to make some kind of gather information roll in the moment, you could certainly get some more, but we would start in a desperate position.
I would like to do that.
All right. What action will you be doing?
I guess it would have to be... God, I have no points in study. I think it would have to be survey.
I think survey will give you more effect here, because the way that survey is characterized is that it's better for like snap judgment. And if we are zoomed in and slow-mo, survey is going to have greater effect. So I think that would be desperate standard for survey.
Okay.
I like, by the way, that as this finale is beginning, Harvest is up on the platform, right? And Ciaran and I are on opposite sides of the crowd, and the camera just zooms in on Rowan, like sneaking through the crowd. Did you hear about what? You know, that kind of thing. Like, I love the image that you know, Rowan's the POV, you know, character here.
It's very the first few minutes of an episode of Leverage kind of energy.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I can't push myself because I'm actually full of stress at the moment, so I guess I'm just gonna make this roll, unless the devil has something to say.
This is a great place to start.
I would say
spectacular.
Two things. One is I will absolutely give you a devil's bargain, and the second is that this game has a bit of a different way of filling your stress track. if you fill your stress track in an action or a resist, you will still then, you could do one more action at increased effect, which is kind of the like last gasp before you either collapse or stress forces you to basically quit the field or leave the scene. So that is something that y'all should keep in mind should you find yourselves filling your stress track. That action doesn't have to be the last thing you do in the scene. You could have the chance to do one more thing.
With that in mind, I'm still gonna like try to save that stress specifically
Sure.
for when things get far more difficult. We're already starting at a desperate position, so we have much worse places to go in this session than right now. So I'll
Yeah.
save that for later.
So because this is a desperate position, I think the devil's bargain should be a little bit harsher. And so what I will offer is you get a bonus die if I can start a 2 clock and put 1 tick on it that is you are discovered.
Oh, no. Woo!
A 2-tick clock is barely a clock.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, a
with
2-tick
it
clock.
half filled already. Like
That's a circle, Mike.
A 2-tick clock is just devil's bargain.
That's
Next
binary.
turn you will be seen as like
that's 0 or 1. We're heading towards 1.
I kind of need to be as undiscovered as possible. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna take that. So I guess we're just rolling this by itself.
I'll pull it back to, I'll put the clock on the board, but it'll still be a 2 clock with 0 ticks.
That's genuinely more enticing, but that's a big risk right now. Like being unseen is kind of my entire stock and trade, so I'm not gonna take that
you can't
now.
resist very much.
I'm not gonna take that now. Maybe in the future, but as it stands, I'm
I
gonna
will
make
prompt
this roll.
Alex that as a reminder that you have that tactician ability where you can offer free assists. You'll have 2 for the sortie. So just keep that in your pocket.
Yikes.
Wow. So I gain no information, I guess.
Okay. So the
Well,
other
this is
information
starting out well.
you will
Yeah,
get
brilliantly.
you will get a little bit of information. And so what I think happens is we follow Rowan's like point of vision, like Rowan's view to Arter and take in the details of the armed guards beside him, the fact that he has like a big, basically like a cleaver. So it's like maybe 16 inches long and about 5 inches like thick this way. It's just a big
Harvest is bigger.
I was gonna say it's like 1/8 of Harvest weapon, right?
yeah, but it is a big one-handed cleaver, to be specific.
That's
So
not a knife,
he's
that's a
armed.
knife.
He's surrounded by people who are armed, and you see a look pass between him and Bera, who kind of nods and salutes directly to him on the way to the stage.
Hey, Mike, am I able to see from where I am? I'm able to see Bara. Obviously, I would assume. Do I get any sense of, because it had been a while since I've seen him? Do I get any sense that there's anything different about him in terms of his look, his demeanor? Does he look weighed down? Does he look like energized, feverish? Like, do I get any sense of his kind of, I don't know, his makeup at the moment?
Yeah, so Bara is she, her, and I have the casting for her as Becky Lynch.
Oh, my bad. I thought that Bara
the
was
WWE star.
That's right. That's right.
So-
I got
Which is
confused.
still so
Sorry.
perfect, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah,
I knew that
Bara
Bara was she, her. Sorry.
Has like a muscular build, but not like is not too big. You know, she's not the size of like a Gwendolyn Christie
Yeah.
with like that level of imposing physical presence. But Bara has always had a lot of swagger. You've known her long enough to know when it was 80% swagger and 20% justified confidence. When you saw her up at basically the king's seat and she was training people, she moved smoothly and faster than you remember her being.
Lovely. More dangerous. All right.
But you know you know, because of your background, more or less she fights like you fight and like you've taught Cranial to fight, the kind of traditional knightly war style. She has a fairly small longsword with a short pommel.
Yeah. Okay.
That you can get without needing a roll, I think, because of that history that you have.
Okay.
But that is a 1 on a desperate roll, which means some consequences.
Rightful. What does that mean?
You
I think
punch
on a
the kidney
desperate,
of every guard, like by
I think on a
accident.
desperate, I can have our tears people spot you, Rowan. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it is, and that sucks.
But that is also a consequence you can resist. It just will be very risky to do so because of your stress situation. So I think I will declare the fiction of it and let you decide if you want to resist or if someone wants to protect you from this somehow. That the camera like follows your vision to Arter, then up to Bara, loops around to like see Venner looking at Bara, and then we get kind of a long overhead shot and we see Arter look like turn and look right at where Rowan is, and then like nudges somebody and points right at you.
Do so I see that, Mike? Do I see that happen?
I think that there's a good chance that you could do that because of the look between Bara and Arter. You might not know specifically what Arter is pointing at, but maybe this is a question for y'all. How much did you lay out your plan for this? Is this specifically what was like, oh, okay, we know that Rowan is going to be on the south side and arcing toward Arter. Like, I leave that to y'all because this is a game with flashbacks.
I feel that having had, since this is not our first time running this particular scam, we've probably got it pretty well planned out, like, you know, as far as who's going to be where, doing what, which is, you know, mostly the Splendour staying the hell out of the way so that it doesn't make everybody else nervous. But I think we would have planned for how we wanted this to go down, and then this is just a major wrench in the works that we may need to regroup. So let's see.
Yeah, I mean, we probably would have. I imagine that we would have. Okay. I imagine that we would have at least said, like, what happens if we're blown, right? Like, if you know, if this comes out, what do we do? Or maybe not blown, but is there a way that we can kind of minimize the situation? Because Bara is not going to know Rowan, right? The only one that Bara is likely to know, I don't think. I mean, Bara is going to know, obviously, the Splendour and is going to know me. So
yeah,
I think if that happens, probably there would be, like, it would, I think what we probably did was we were like, okay, here's what happens if, like, option A sees Ciaran, option B sees Venner, and then option C, for some reason, suspects Harvest of being anything other than a fighter, or Rowan, like, catches sight of Rowan. So at that point, probably we wouldn't want to panic, right? Like, I'm thinking that would put us on heightened alert, but probably we wouldn't go running over to try to, like, undercut it, because then really we're screwed. So I would think that our flashback would be more like setting up a tier of reactions. And it's not that we care least about Rowan, it's that Rowan is probably the one who's going to cause the least, like, I don't know. And Rowan could do cool Rowan things, like slip off into the darkness, or do, you know, jump to the shadows, or, you know, cool stuff like that.
This could just be a little more of a lose this opportunity kind of thing. And is Rowan still wearing the Sloach symbol, or there was a point at which that was true, right?
I think it just stands to reason that I wouldn't wear it in this moment, but I would still have it on me. Like, It is still an item on my person, but I wouldn't I don't think I gain any value from having people see it.
Actually, I just thought of something. I don't know if this is too much, and if it is, Mike, you can tell me. But I wonder whether or not what we could actually do is this. If it turns out that Bara sees Rowan and sends her people after Rowan, isn't there a way that we could have Rowan make the suggestion that, oh, you caught me and my people, good job, you've taken down the threat, right? While the rest of us are waiting to move in further. In other words, I would love it if part of this flashback was actually we were hoping that Bara would catch Rowan and not us. And that's, again, the only reason I don't want to make it seem like I'm throwing Rowan under the bus at this point, because Venner actually, grudgingly, although probably wouldn't admit it, actually kind of likes Rowan. So Venner doesn't want to throw Rowan under the bus, but also probably feels like this might be, which maybe even the Sluak symbol might help that sense of like, oh, you know, there was a threat that existed. So I don't know. I don't know if that's too much to have planned ahead of time, but it just struck me that that's something which might have made some sense because it gives us more flexibility, you know?
I mean, as long as we also had a plan to get Rowan out of the trouble.
Yes, that's the question mark part before the 3 profit. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the question mark part is.
Because, like, Rowan would not be against it. But, like, if they have to die for the cause, they kind of need to know in advance.
No, Ciaran is not going to ask you to die for them today. So we definitely need to have a sort of...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that could even be how the plan is going sideways, where the plan was, okay, Rowan is going to kind of be diversion. And now we're like, oh, shit, this
is going faster.
Dying for the Splendour is my job.
Wait a minute, though. We did talk directly to Artair, didn't we? Didn't we say that we were going to back Artair? And as opposed to, I'm sorry, when you were doing this did I miss that, Mike?
So the plan involved the detail of setting up the event. So presumably some number of you, one or more, have talked to Artair. It just appears that he has some additional angle or has some relationship with Bara. Like, how is Bara here is a question that was not at all prompted by the conversation you'd had with Artair.
Oh crap! All right, my brilliant
Artair
idea
said
just had
that he would get a good local fighter who would make for a good show.
Because okay,
yeah, and we were not planning to back Artair because, you know, of the 2 horses in the race, you know, Ledger and Artair. I remember when it came up, the Splendour expressed the opinion that while people who kind of like talk a big game and don't have,
yeah, that's right,
you know, they're guys that are all hat and no cattle, can be useful. That is not something I would want to, you know, base like a power thing on. It'd
that's
be
right,
like, if I could use him as a tool, fine. But if I need him to run the southern markets and not stab me in the back, that is not someone I'm willing to rely on.
That's right. I remember that now. So then did we speak with Ledger? And there's a reason I'm asking all these questions, because I'm wondering if we then said, or Ledger, because Ledger is technically in alliance with House Gearr. So it would be to our benefit, insofar as we are allied as well with House Gearr, to keep Ledger, you know, kind of nominally in place. Well, there's no way. I mean, okay, never mind. I'm thinking outside what Venner would do. I just had an idea about having some way to have prepared an exit for Rowan's imprisonment before this happened, but I don't think Venner would do that. I think that's too cloak and dagger for Venner, probably.
Well, I mean, I would do that.
I mean, I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't want to just push you in a certain direction, but like, what do you think about the idea of talking?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
A place we didn't really get to in the last session is we came to the conclusion that Artair was not the guy we wanted to back. We had, and it was Ledger.
Yeah.
But I don't think we really brought Ledger into it, because this whole thing was
contact with Ledger here. Was that what it was? Or I remember feeling confused about this part. Sorry.
Yeah, because I think
right.
Where it came out was like, okay, we're gonna kind of like, you know, obviously it's not like we're gonna murder Artair or something. I mean, I guess we could, but that was not the plan. Was to make him look bad and make him lose a lot of face and lose a lot of power, and that would give us a better
Right.
bargaining position for dealing with Ledger.
Right. Oh, right.
So
right.
I-
Right. Right.
Right. So the
Don't
whole
think-
goal is for me to humiliate Bara. Is that what the goal is here?
Yes, that was a big part of it. Yeah, for sure, because of the connection between Artera and Bara.
Yeah.
I mean, like, right, because yeah, that's right. So we haven't spoken with Ledger because I don't have these contacts thing. Because I was thinking it would be really nice if we had made this plan and then Rowan is put in a cell to which a convenient, access point has been provided for Rowan, right? But then that doesn't work if who are we going to set that up with? If it's not Artera or Ledger, then unless one of us has a contact with the local jailer, which I don't know.
But at this point,
that wouldn't work. So
Rowan has been seen, but not caught.
And I will
yeah, so just get away, man.
that
Just get away. Just
I
leave.
I could just walk off and they'll just have to follow me anywhere I go, or I also have sway if I need to talk my way out of a mess and skirmish if I need to fight my way out. So you can let me just roll the dice on that one and continue doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, don't fight if you can avoid it.
I prefer
Really.
not to.
Yeah.
Prefer not to.
I mean,
Prefer not to
the
have to
thing is,
kill one of our Arter's men in
Well,
broad
and
daylight.
worst case scenario, if you get caught, it's very unlikely that you would get immediately summarily executed. They'd want to put you in jail overnight or something, and then have a proper public hanging where they can sell snacks.
Yeah, sure. Merchandising.
So if you do get captured, we'll have a chance to get you out, hopefully, unless it's way more messy of a situation than any of us can guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rowan,
Mm-hmm.
seeing that there are now at least 2 people coming after you, what do you do?
I maintain eye contact for a bit with those 2 guards, and then I try to fade in within the crowd as well as possible.
Okay. What action does that look like?
That to me, that would be finesse in the real world, wouldn't it? Which I don't have. Would Prowl also work?
I think Prowl will probably have the best effect because you're specifically trying to lose a tail.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to finesse to maybe move through a crowd without jostling anybody, Prowl is going to have more effect here.
Yeah, Prowl is what I prefer then.
So there's not so many of them on you that you're going to be at limited effect, but if you get to the point where there's 3 or more of them coming at you at once, then they have scale on you, which will impact your effect. So at this point, they're far enough away that this roll is actually just risky standard.
Okay.
But an immediate consequence, if you don't get a 6, is that they're going to be closing in on you.
Cool.
Yep. And did you already mark the XP from the last roll?
I did.
Okay.
And for this, I've rolled a 5 on my Prowl.
Okay, so I think you do it. You kind of dip behind some people or go under stands or whatever it is that Rowan would do here, and you lose them. There's enough of a crowd that you vanished again, because I don't want to reduce your I don't want to undo your success here with a limited effect. Instead, I'm going to put 2 ticks on a 4 clock that if it fills, it will add an escalation.
Okay, cool, pleasant.
And we see Rowan getting away, right? As we're watching.
Yeah, I think any of you could be keeping an eye on Rowan, and I don't want to hold that information from y'all, because I think I'd like to present the possibility for y'all to be kind of assisting one another because of the type of game that it is.
So I like the idea of sort of sitting there and then me sort of watching and then drawing my cloak down and kind of almost under my breath being like, all right, go after him, you cats. The mouse is running. and just sort of sneaking in, and then gradually turn my attention back up to Bara and Harvest, who I assume at this point, Harvest has absolutely worked themselves up into the baddest ass look ever, right? Like we look back and it's just halos and glory right everywhere. Like I assume it just has the sword gotten even more impressive in the last several minutes while this has been going on?
Keeps getting bigger.
I mean, listen, I didn't,
Can you flex a sword? I don't know.
Yeah. So what is Harvest doing as like Bara is kind of getting positive response from the crowd and is like walking in? I think there's probably some local who is effectively the ref.
Mhm.
And so there will be, you'll do some kind of like salute or handshake or something, and then somebody will call the start of the match.
I think Harvest is basically just doing a little bit of their own routine to sort of hype up the crowd. Having been on my WWE circuit recently, I think picked up a couple skills in terms of like, making that entrance. I don't know if I'm like, I think because I'm kind of the challenger here, I think I'm taking a little bit more of the aggressive kind of heel mode coming in and sort of mean mugging at the crowd and also at Bara. And, I think it's pretty straightforward performance here.
Okay.
I'm not really trying to get any mechanical benefit other than being a ham here.
Sure. Yeah. So with that, so you're playing to the crowd, Bara is playing to the crowd. The ref kind of puts up his hands and kind of tells you all what the rules of the exhibition are. And this is what was agreed on with Arter. And if what I say doesn't sound like what you would have wanted to set up, just let me know. That y'all can be armored, you're using sharps, and you're fighting till basically unconsciousness or submission. It's very specifically not to the death.
Okay.
But that's as it was pitched. Bara was not pitched. So it's up to y'all how much you want to stick to what was agreed on or not.
I think I'm good with that, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Anyone else have any thoughts on? I mean, that sounds like pretty standard, good exhibition match kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, what it would be like if Arter is already altering the terms of the bargain.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just from my position out in the crowd, Ciaran is just kind of like, well, be ready for him to introduce some more fuckery into this.
Yeah, I'd be concerned, just making sure, watching your back type of thing, but you probably know enough to do that.
I think I'm more heavily armored than usual. If I can declare having a fine dueling weapon and a fine shield in this circumstance.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Is Bara higher tier than me?
Yes. So Bara is part of House
weapon?
Mat.
Very important.
Yeah, like I think she's tier 3, not tier 4.
Okay.
Because she's just tier on her own.
Right. And I'm tier 1.
Yes.
Great. This is gonna go beautifully. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I got.
Okay. So when the start is called, she launches at you immediately with a really fast passing cut to your midsection.
Okay.
So how do you respond?
I think I was anticipating a pretty aggressive approach here. So, I would love to just make a skirmish roll to sort of see how this exchange goes. I'm seeing this as very like samurai movie 2 swords crossing kind of moment here. And let's see how we do this.
Yeah, and I think each roll we can have play out several blows.
Yeah.
Rather than being like super zoomed in.
Okay, great.
So this is desperate, but because of kind of the class of foe that Bara is and the starting situation. And I think you will still have limited effect even with the fine dueling weapon and the shield because of your bruised ribs.
Got it. So I'm in desperate limited starting point.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask for a devil's bargain here?
Yes.
Actually, I was also wondering, is this something that I could do an assist, like flashback wise?
Absolutely.
Because I mean, basically, it would be me doing my move of I'm going to give Harvest my holy relic to carry with them to protect them.
Can I use that assist to increase effect, or does that only give me +D?
An assist can improve effect.
Okay, so I'd love to use that to bring it up to standard.
Okay, great. And I think the devil's bargain here is like the intensity of the situation, and Bara's association with war kind of leads you to the usurpation, which I think leads to just a flash of guilt lingering on the blood you've drawn, which would be expressed as the level 1 harm guilty.
Yeah, I'll take the level 1 harm for an extra dice here.
Yeah. And do you get your bonus for Daredevil?
Yes.
Or Courageous?
Case. So that's Desperate Standard. I'm getting 2 bonus dice, correct?
You get
1 from the Devil's Bargain.
and one from Courageous. Yes, that is correct.
All right. Rolling. No whammies. That's a 5. Oh my God, that's so many ones.
Wow.
Yeah, really glad that 5 showed up.
When?
Every once in a while, this happens, and I'm like, is it that the game hates us, or does Roll20 hate us?
Yeah.
But it only started hating us after the initial success. It's like, wait, we're supposed to hate. Oh, man.
If you put enough ones there, do we delete the 5?
Okay,
Yep.
Fussy mechanical question here for you now, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That was a desperate roll, so I get 1 XP in prowess, which fills up my prowess bar. Can I spend that now?
Yes.
Okay. I can't put a 4th point into skirmish, correct?
Let's say you can, because we're in finale mode.
Okay, so the question that I need to figure out is, do I put a 4th point in skirmish, or do I put a point into prowl so my resistance roll becomes 4 dice? Yeah, because it's going to be desperate, so I'm already taking -1d to resistance rolls, so I'm gonna put that into prowl.
Okay, I think that is a smart move.
And so then I'm rolling 3d6 on any resists.
Yeah,
because I only have 5 stress slots left.
So you do succeed with standard effect, which fills 2 ticks of Bara's 8 clock. However, on a 5, you will also take a consequence. And so why don't you, Bara's coming at you with like a horizontal cut to your midsection. What are the next kind of, what do you think the next couple of exchanges look like? How do you make ground in the fight?
I think Bara's coming in with a horizontal cut. I have bruised ribs, so I'm going to be favoring that a little bit. So I think I pulled the shield in tight on my left side. The problem is now they're in close. And so I think I sort of use the sort of hilt of my sword as a bludgeon and to sort of push them away, forcing myself to get some room, and then using the momentum from that to go into like a spinning slash.
Okay. Yeah, I think you push her away and go into the spinning slash, and she has to drop really low and kind of throw the sword, her sword up with all of the strength that she has to kind of like deflect it off. And you can tell that cost her something from the exertion, but she deflects the cut off far enough that then she basically takes another lateral step, and as she gains distance again, scores a cut across your midsection for level 2 harm, rebroken ribs.
Can I burn my armor slot to negate that?
Yes.
Great. So I've used standard armor.
You got heavy, right?
Yeah.
This is a good call. What does the shield do mechanically in this? Does that affect anything? How does it affect things?
We talked about it as mostly providing position and possibly effect on in certain situations.
Okay.
Because Harvest has a sword and a shield, that will impact. I think that helps in what Bara is trying to do, which is to always be either in or out, or just inside your maximum effective range with that really big sword.
Okay.
Because her effective range is shorter, but that means that there's a set of range that is bad for her, and then inside that there is a set of range that is bad for Harvest, and then somewhere in there's a question of grappling, which who knows what that looks like. So yeah, you forced her. Basically, she had to do like a resist roll or something. Yeah. Like she had to exert, and you got a little bit of a sense of just how strong can she be and how fast she can react. That even when pushed off balance, she was able to do a pretty big both dodge and block, and then immediately follow it up. So that gives you a little bit of information there. And you don't have to take the penalty on resist because you're using armor. So that is fine. I think I'm happy to do another roll here unless somebody else would like to act. Like kind of going back and forth between the fight and other things is probably a decent approach here. So
I'm good with that. If somebody has a thing.
Yeah. I just want to move in a little bit through the crowd, a little bit closer to the action. And while I'm doing that, because I'm focusing very heavily now that I see that Rowan has gotten away, I'm focusing very heavily on Bara's fighting style and whether it seems to me two things. A, is Bara fighting from what I can tell within the rules that were provided, or is Bara seem to be trying to like actively really harm Harvest? And then B, are there any, we're using the WWE thing, so are there any managers with chairs ready to throw in the middle of the ring out of nowhere, right? Or distract the referee with pepper or whatever?
Yeah, that I think is a totally viable gather information. So I would just ask what action you want to use here to read the fight.
Right. I would say, I guess probably, since I guess you're not going to let me use prowess, I would say survey probably makes the most sense. Is that?
Again, survey is great for this kind of like snap evaluation. If you waited, like basically you could do study, but you wouldn't get to act right away. You probably study and then you could act after the next round of the fight, because study has to be more considered over more time, is a bit more methodical.
I have nothing in study though.
So survey is just fine here. And it makes sense as a warrior's gather information, like reading somebody's fighting style real quick.
Okay, so if I do survey, oh no, I'm doing the wrong way.
And this is just risky for you because of where the situation is.
Oh, lovely.
And I think you would have, you'll have standard effect. I think you've got the background. I think maybe anybody else would be limited, but you already have history with Bara.
Okay. So, I think as I'm doing this, my eyes are sort of narrowed and what are you doing? As I'm watching. All right. So risky, standard, and so bonus dice would be 2, 1, 2, 1.
So
right?
you'd have 2 from survey.
2.
And you could get a bonus die from a push, from a devil's bargain, or from an assist, if you wanted.
No, I don't want to push on this. All right, what's the devil's bargain?
Let's see, what should the devil's bargain here be? I think the devil's bargain is that Cranel wanders off. Cranel says, I'm going to go check on Rowan, and leaves your side.
wait, you.
Right. Well, you can refuse the devil's
Right,
bargain and just tell him to
I was
stay.
gonna say, two possible futures. No, I'm not gonna take the devil's bargain because there's gonna be some point where like, so your apprentice is here, like with a knife to the throat type of thing. It's just no, too early. So yeah, I'll just take the 2. And 2 from survey. Yeah, and I don't want to put And the assist again, like I feel like this is not the time. This is not important. It is important, but not important enough for this. So I'm gonna say 2. I also just saw the. Oh, okay. That's that 2 clock. I saw the 3 clock with the hideout blown. I'm like, God damn it already. All right.
No, I should let me move this this clock to the layer that y'all should be able to see. Escalation.
Hey, Mike, do you mind moving that where just for the stream? Would you mind moving that to right below the church clock?
Sure.
Because that way it'll be easier for people to see.
And put that there, and then I'm going to bring over the bara clock. Sorry, that doesn't need to be here. Escalation, and then I'm going to grab the bara clock as well because it has ticks on it, and so we should be able to see it.
Ooh, I got a long way to go on that clock, huh? All right.
Yep.
Yeah, so slide that underneath, just right underneath the church one if you can, and that will.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Lovely.
There we go.
Okay. Cool. All right, here we go. Looking, hoping.
Looking for a 6.
I've got. Is that right? 2 bonus dice. Did I overdo that?
So it should not have. It should have been 0 bonus dice because it will roll what you already had in survey.
I completely screwed that up. So then I don't know which was the bonus dice and which aren't.
Well, why don't you re-roll it? I'll be generous rather than making you take the first 2.
Sorry, that was terrible. All right.
We will accept this gift from our benevolent Gia.
it's the devil's mercy.
Y'all as is.
Okay, risky, standard, no bonus dice. Right. Okay. Oh God damn it! It didn't matter. That's what they're like. No, we said.
No,
okay.
this is
we
exactly
said. What's up, Monster King?
So you still get information, but it's bad information.
Yeah, great.
She is lightning focused on Harvest's midsection and is already making progress. You've seen her just take somebody apart piece by piece before, and this looks like that. But like as we abstract like another couple, like a little bit of back and forth between Bara and Harvest for you to have more to look at, she just takes a Highlander swipe at where Harvest's head would be before they dodge back. That shot you need to have a lot of armor for that shot to not lead to a broken neck. It looks like she's fighting to kill.
All right. So I look around quickly to see if Ciaran is looking where Ciaran, like, as I know where Ciaran is roughly in the crowd, and I look over to see whether Ciaran's looking in my direction or the fight's direction. Just kind of a quick glance. I don't know, Ciaran, where you're looking.
I would say at this moment, Ciaran does not appear to be paying attention to the fight because Ciaran has their own observation they're gonna try to make.
Okay, so then seeing that vendor would just turn and be like, "Oh, God's damn everything," and just kind of lowers my head, and I push forward a little bit further towards the front row.
Yeah, and
because I like to go towards danger because that's smart, Chet.
I think the consequence is that you hear more than see a pair of Arter's toughs making their way through the crowd toward you as well.
Shit. Welp.
So what I'm attempting to ascertain, because I mean my cousin is the fight guy, so that's what he's doing. What I'm actually trying to ascertain is if there's any funny business going on in the crowd.
Okay.
other
Yeah.
than the cat yelling and having a lot of feelings.
For sure. I think you've definitely got the position for that.
Which I imagine would also be a survey.
Yeah, either survey or study, I think, is fine here because of the scale that we're looking at. And you've got one in either.
I have the same number of dice in either, but let's go with study because I feel like Ciaran is a much more deliberate person.
Sure. So this is going to be controlled, and you will have standard effect.
Okay.
Because all of the risk is coalescing around your retinue.
Yeah, I don't like it. All right, no bonus dice. Here we go. Hey. See,
5.
taking your time is good.
Stupid system.
Like they've had 3 rolls from the crowd, just trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah. So
Bara, meanwhile, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6.
Yeah.
Like that's how this is working.
God.
you realize after looking through the crowd that Arter's people are not the only ones here that are armed. And in fact, you recognize the face of one of Maedoc's men-at-arms in the crowd as well.
Oh, great.
And then another.
Great.
This is fine. Oh God, I gotta find some way to
And the consequence is going to be that now you are also in a risky situation as those 2 start moving toward you. And like we kind of pull back and far enough that our 4 protagonists who have very identifiable silhouettes are little islands in what is quickly becoming a swirling maelstrom of movement around another maelstrom of movement as we see Bara and Harvest kind of swinging and dodging and blocking and parrying. And I think we've established Harvest as fast for being big, but still because of the contrast, this fight casts Harvest as the bigger, slower one, and Bara as the smaller, faster one. And I think with that, I would go back to the fight. And
listen, I'm using an ultra great sword here that only moves so fast.
So what? How are you going to try and take control of the fight now?
Yeah, so what's our position right now? Because Bara took a swipe at my neck, and I'm assuming I sort of backstepped out of that.
I think kind of because she has to cut up because I think you're notably taller than she is.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that she has to cut to go up shortens her range, and that is part of what let you get away from it. So, and you've got a shield, so maybe you had the shield up there. So I would say that you are in a risky position now because of the move that just happened and the fact that you've got a shield, which gives you some versatility in the range that you want to play at.
I think the thing that I'm trying to do here is because, I've watched Venner and what's his face practice a lot, right? So
you fought Cranel in the exhibition
right.
matches.
So I've seen a fair bit of this like formal style of fighting that she comes out of, right? The sort of chivalric knight bullshit, basically.
Hey.
And this is like the more warlike version where some knights and men-at-arms or women-at-arms in this case go take sword and shield to war. It's also very common to just go out with a longsword.
Yeah.
Which is what she's doing.
I think Harvest comes from 2 schools of fighting or 2 schools of doing violence. One is being an executioner, which is obviously very precise, but not necessarily high intensity. And the other is a more brawling street fighting style that we've seen from them in the past. So I think what I'd like to do is not exactly fighting dirty, but being very unexpected, I think is the thing, and trying to throw off her rhythm. So I'd like to actually drop low as she goes high and try and slam the edge of my shield into her foot. and slow her down.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that action will also get you some effect.
Great.
So you have a fine shield, which is one step. You lose a step of effect from harm. So that would take you to 0. But then the move gets you back up to limited. So you would be at risky
limited. Okay. I am going to slide my position to be desperate standard then.
Okay. Yeah, I think I interpret that as like it's a risky move. It leaves you open.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's narratively, this is a gamble, right? It's weird and unexpected. The reason it's unexpected is because, hey, you shouldn't drop your shield in the middle of a fight, and I'm gonna have to go quite low, and given our height differential, I think that opens me up to counterattack.
Yeah.
I'm talking like I know sword fighting tactics here, which I don't. I've just been playing a lot of Dark Souls. That's all that's happening right now.
Yeah, I think this is in the sphere of cinematic action. I think that all makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm at desperate standard. Do you have a devil's bargain for me? I'm probably not going to want it, but it's always worth asking.
I have a devil's bargain, and it's one more tick on escalation.
Where are we on an escalation? 2 out of 4?
2 of 4.
How do y'all feel about me moving that escalation clock up?
We're going to get it escalated anyway in the next 2 minutes.
We're boned anyway, so take
might
it.
as well
what this is happening. So
take Bara out really quickly.
Take
and
Bara.
That's kind of my thought. Yeah. Okay. So I will take that.
We need some knife work down here in a minute.
I'm not going to push myself because I don't have enough stress left.
Okay.
Okay. So
you get 1 from Devil's Bargain and 1 from Courageous, I believe.
Do you want me to blow my last assist, or are you happy where you're at?
If I could upgrade this to Desperate Great, that would be rad.
You just take off your foot completely.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I will give you my last assist.
All right, let's do it. You know what? We're in a desperate position. Let's just keep pushing. Okay. Desperate Great, 2 bonus dice. Sound good, Mike?
All right, roll them. That's a crit.
Hey!
That's a crit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No foot.
I don't think she was expecting this from you, because I don't know that you did this kind of stuff in the exhibition fights.
I don't think so. I don't think I fought with the shield at all in the exhibition fights, because the shield is unusual for Harvest.
Yeah, so you land the shield to the foot, and she staggers back, and you've got initiative. What do you do?
I think I'm coming up from the ground with like an uppercut strike with the blade.
Okay. Yeah, so she staggers back. I think she throws the blade down and kind of leans into it, but you pull her off the ground with the swing, and like you break her stance, like her poise is gone. And she goes all the way back onto her back and then rolls backward, and her feet are off the stage.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go in with a spinning slash, really just trying to just bat her completely off the stage and try and finish this.
Actually, just before Harvest does that, because I'm watching the guys coming towards me, but so that happens. I assume, Mike, there's got to be a from the crowd, right? Like a gasp. I assume everything goes quietly. At that moment, then Venner would be like, "By the gods, unbelievable!" I would like be looking at the guards, pointing up, and be like, they've actually got him. Like yelling in an attempt to make the guards be like, "What?" and turn.
Okay.
What in the world is that?
What in the world could that be? No, I'm like,
I feel like
I'm not Princess Bride again. I'm just like, because the thing is, it like literally my voice would echo when everyone else is like, "Oh shit," like because of silence.
Right. So actually, sorry, I didn't do this right, because you got a critical on a great, which means you don't feel 3 ticks, you feel 5 ticks.
Oh
shit!
Oh lord!
Yeah.
Did we just
There's
like
only one tick
floor
left?
this
There
person?
is one tick
Wow.
left, and I think that matches what I described of
Yeah.
like you fully pulled her, knocked her off her feet, and she's like, just in a terrible position. And you didn't do something that would like knock you on your butt or anything. So like it looks like you are going to be able to just finish and win this fight in the next few moments.
How
Yes, I'm like, gonna win the
aware is
fight.
Harvest of what's happening in the crowd?
Yeah.
Sorry?
How aware am I of what's happening in the crowd?
I would think not at all.
Not at all, right?
I think maybe in the the roar as that blow lands and as she goes spinning, you can probably tune into the audience a bit, because you have done this before and like playing to the audience. So like that part isn't new. It's just that the challenge is much greater, right? Because Bara is a more formidable opponent, even though Cranel is very well trained, and because she was like just straight up trying to kill you. So I think you get the sense in that moment that the crowd is rallying toward you and is very impressed. But I don't know that you would have a sense of like.
I'm not aware of this burgeoning red wedding situation of people closing in on my group.
Well, you hear the music, so that should cue you in. Wait a
Right, the
minute.
Castamere starts playing.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to trade those bonus 2 ticks on the clock for an advantage that was like getting some other bit of information, you could. But
flavor-wise, I should also point out that I have the brutal move, which means when I unleash physical violence, it's especially frightening.
Yeah. So I think maybe I'll zoom back, and we will establish that your blow cracked her breastplate.
Hell yeah.
And that crack sends the crowd silent for a moment, and then the roar.
Sweet. I'm into it. Okay. Greg, you want to make a roll though?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I do exactly that, and I'd like to say that the yell goes out just as the roar. Like I'm like, hey, so it goes crack. I'm like yell roar, which means that if all goes well, he said, this should do something. I would like to make an argument for command, Mike.
Yeah,
this is a case where I'm in my element. I've seen good fighting. I know what the situation is, and also I really wanted to turn the F around. So like I would say command would be what I would argue for here, if that makes sense.
Okay. And you want them, if this works, what happens?
If this, okay. It does so this is what I would say, because if this happens, one thing is something I intend to have happen and one thing is something I don't. The thing that I intend to have happen is to have the 2 guards, who after all have to also be thinking about Bara, turn around and go, oh, and almost like kind of hesitate and or step back towards Bara, right? Because that's their first concern. The thing I don't intend is that the guards heading for Ciaran are also like, what the hell just happened? And what I would love to have happen is for Ciaran to take that moment to be like, zoop, like go to another part in the crowd, perhaps. Whereas I, on the other hand, would be basically, how close were the guards to me when this happened, Mike, do you think?
Let's say 15 paces.
If they turn and this happens, I'd love to be able to close on them quickly and basically badoosh both heads together, because in the roar, you won't hear the crack of the heads. Yeah. That's what I'm really hoping happens. I know that's aspirational, but like, that's what I'd love to have happen.
I think that makes sense as command, and you would be in a risky position, and you would normally have limited effect, but you get increased effect because you're doing it in connection to a critical.
And I'll take a stress here for a push. I'll push to take a stress.
To push.
I'll take it, because I'm at 5 right now. That would bring me to 7, but I'll take it because I feel like this is really important.
Sure.
So,
and success on this, among other things, can contribute to a clock that represents these forces. So there's the clock for Bara, and then there's the clock for the forces in the crowd that are coming for y'all.
Okay. So, all right. So see if I got all that. So So it's command. Position you said is
risky standard.
Risky standard. Okay, if I push myself, that only gives me bonus dice, right? There's no way to increase the effect.
You can push for effect. So you could push to risky great.
I think I'm going to do that actually. So great. And then now the bonus dice. So I have a total of, I think, 3 in command, if I'm reading that properly. So
yes,
I don't think that, because you used Ciaran the assist already, right? The 2 assists, I think.
I gave both my assists to Harvest.
It was worth it. That's fine. Okay.
No regrets.
Yeah, no, totally. All right.
Hey, that last one is what got me the crit. So hell yeah.
I can assist you with if that helps.
Yeah. What's that look like?
Yeah.
Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm at 8 stress now, but I have pushed myself to give you the assist.
Oh, nice. So I get 1 bonus die out of that.
So how is Rowan assisting in this moment?
I think the angle that makes the most sense is that, like, I have now, like, sufficiently traveled the crowd enough that I got 2 Vena, and, like, I'm perfectly aware that, like, more hostiles are on the way, and I'm, like, either about to give them a heads up, either I'm about to give them the heads up from afar, or I'm on my way directly to them. But I think it's from afar, because I think I'm still trying to not be seen.
Okay. All right, so sounds like you've spent the stress, and Venner will get the bonus. So that would be 1 from a push, 1 from your brutal ability.
No, because the push was for effect, so I don't.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So 1 from the brutal, 1 from assist, and push for effect.
Oh, I forgot about brutal. Thank you.
Well,
are they frightened though? I don't want to undercut it, but are they frightened? Because I get brutal when you command a frightened target.
Harvest just cracked a breastplate.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah. Cool. I mean, listen.
I want to let you use that.
They think that a soldier is dead on the platform. Well, dead or dying.
Alarmed.
They are alarmed.
Yeah.
So that means I've got 3 from command, but then I'm only rolling with 2 bonus dice, right? Is it that? And I increase the effect with my push. Okay.
Yeah. Risky great with 5 dice is pretty good. Let's see how it goes.
Come on.
I believe in you.
Woo!
Okay.
I needed all 5. I needed all 5, but
boy.
I needed all 5, but I got a 6. Hell yes.
Right. So that is 3 ticks on this clock, which I will now move to the token layer and bring over.
Nice hit, DongWon. Nice work. Thanks for making this all possible.
All right. So
we are bringing some finale energy to these rolls.
Yeah, like no joke.
Is that still on the overlay? Oh, okay. I'll just move everything over to the left.
Oh, I can try to adjust again. Yeah, it's
no.
limited.
I'll move things that then you don't have to mess with the overlay.
Okay.
And I'm going to move this away because then other clocks can show up. And I think now we are good. Cool. Yeah. So one, they freeze. 2, your voice carries, and we, the audience, see the guards that are moving toward Ciaran also freeze, partially because of the cracked breastplate and partially because of the yell. Like, I imagine that you doing command sounds like a battlefield voice.
Look at them, like that type of like. So it echoes across the battlefield. So as they freeze, do they turn? I didn't want to do at least the ones going towards me anyway.
They turn away. You've got position to go after them.
So sure. I'm on them now. Like I like look at Rowan and I kind of just what do I say to Rowan? I'm just like you know what I say to Rowan? I actually turn around and I say to Rowan, the guard's coming for Ciaran. And I kind of gesture in the direction of the guards who are also frozen, hoping that Rowan will go towards them while they're not paying attention. And then I walk up to those 2, and while the crowd is roaring, I just come up and I'm just like, kabam, with the helmets together, because I'd like to think that as I kind of go forward, the crowd is not going to hear anything. Listen, I've been to enough sporting events in my life. I'll tell you right now, when it gets to a certain point, no one hears anything. And you just walk up, kabam, then they fall down in front of me. And I sort of look down and I'm like, amateurs as always, and step over them and then walk up a little bit further. And I should now be close to the stage. And then meanwhile, whatever Roan's going to do. But that's what I'm doing. And sort of like impressed by the cracked breastplate also.
Yeah, I think that's all covered by great effect. You got the freeze and you've kind of removed some of the threat, but the threat is not entirely gone.
Worth the stress.
Because we're really zoomed in moment-wise, I think I want to jump back to the stage fight where Bara like regains, like holds on to the stage, and with like great core strength, honestly, like flips and rolls back up onto the stage, shouts, "Do it," and throws a dagger at your face that she pulled from a boot.
Unsurprised, unfucking surprised right here.
I would like to ignore the knife and move forward.
Ignore the knife.
Basically, so yes, I yell, I am filled with holy purpose. And I make an executioner strike at her neck, looking to fucking remove it.
Just ignore the
so fucking metal.
This stupid knife. Aragorn like hitting the orc dagger away. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think because you're ignoring the dagger, it's probably still risky rather than controlled. Because she's able to do counterattack. But I think you don't need to push to get to standard effect. I think you're at risky standard to start.
I'm just starting at risky standard.
And that's risky standard once we bake in your weapon.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting from there.
And you should have 1 more XP in prowess, though I don't know that does anything since you just got a dot.
Yeah. I put that in already.
Cool.
Okay, I am gonna push myself. And because narratively, consequences be damned. I'm going to, because I'm stupid, I'm going to slide my position anyways to desperate great, even though I only need 1 tick. I just want that dice.
So we zoom in on the dagger headed for your face.
Absolutely. I might lose an eye here, y'all. And then
you will look very badass.
Harvest slow-mo shrug. Like just walking.
Yeah. Devil's bargain.
Devil's bargain is that the thing that she's calling for comes sooner than it would otherwise. And I would basically fill that escalation clock.
No, the thing she's calling for seems pretty bad, so I'm going to hold off on that right now.
I was going to say, I'm probably going to fill the escalation clock when it's my turn. So.
That said, crowd team seems to be making some progress out there, so I'm going to give you guys a fighting chance. Oh boy. Okay, so 2 dice. That's I'm going to roll 5 dice.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let the good times roll.
Oh boy, this is stressful. A lot of rolls in a row, y'all.
Uh-huh.
That's a 5.
There's a 5. So which eye do you want to lose?
I'm gonna be narratively boring and burn my heavy armor to resist it.
Okay. So on a desperate, that would be level 3 harm, which would be lost eye.
Yeah.
And armor would take that down to level 1 harm. But unfortunately, because your level 1 harm is filled, it would go up to level 2.
Okay.
And I think that level 2 harm would be face gash, and face blows bleed.
You're gonna have like a really nice hot scar.
It'll make you look even better.
Yeah, it's
absolutely. Like that's
it's gonna look even scarier.
Listen,
like this.
The promo poster is a winner. Like, I mean, really.
And,
Harvest is only getting cooler out of this.
Oh yeah, like absolutely.
Yeah, you said you took her head off, so that's that.
Wow, just goes flying in the air.
Because I pushed myself, this is also force multiplier and brutal. So I think that head, this is Babe Ruth not get into the outer stands, man. Like that head is out sailing over the crowd.
I want for cinematic effect, I would like it to be headed directly for Artur.
Mhm.
I like the idea while this is happening too, by the way, the referee is like, the referee's just standing on the thing, like having done nothing, like as usual, right? Just, oh man.
Yeah, so also
the referee
there's this...
tries to stop the knife. By that time, the head is already up in the
Yeah.
air, and they're just like looking off in the middle distance with their eyes very wide, going, I should not have left home this
Just
morning.
Homer Simpsoning it out, like a, you know.
So DongWon, you had great effect.
Oh man.
Oh
You
yeah.
only had to spend 1 tick to dispatch Bera.
Yeah.
So you have 2 ticks that you can assign to the Arter's forces clock if you would like.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
And I think that would be expressed as a group of 3 of them looking to the head and just throwing down their weapons and leaving.
Nice.
And say, fuck this.
Nice.
Can I?
Nice.
I propose a specific thing, which is I've knocked his head and it lands in Arter's lap, and I think he actually flinches backwards in a way that reveals genuine fear, making people realize that maybe he ain't all that.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So like, because he's probably standing and like it. So content warning, some gore and blood in this description here.
Content warning now as the head is flying over the...
Because
far
I'm
it's been PG-13.
I'm going to describe it in a little bit more detail.
No, I got you.
As the head, I think, bounces off the ground, spins through the air, the audience gasps, it lands right in Arter's lap, staring up at him, and he shrieks and stumbles backward, and papers and coins go flying.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Rowan emerges right behind Arter specifically at this moment.
Cool.
Nice.
I think that is a good point for us to take a quick break.
Can I add one more flavor thing? And you can tell me that this needs to be a roll and not a flavor, in which case we deal with it later. But I think Harvest on stage draws the silver core out of his blade, or their blade, and basically intones, "Go now to your final rest," and pushes it down into Bera's chest, sealing the ghost.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you don't have anyone coming at you right away, so I'm not going to make you roll for that.
I don't think anyone has the balls to come at them.
I think
right
everyone's
away.
just like, what just happened in the last 10 seconds? Like, is what that...
Yeah, and like...
Dang.
That wraith would be fairly dangerous, but you have just had a very intense emotional contact. Mm-hmm. So that plus your silver is enough. But I think without a roll, you have to leave that part of the blade in Bara for at least a couple of beats of the fight.
Yeah, I'm good with that for the moment, and then we'll go from here.
Okay. So this is Rebel Crown Splendor and Shadow with lots of action and more yet to come, this has been fantastic so far. Thank you everybody who is watching. And if you're watching the VOD later on, you're also wonderful and a good person. Hopefully, probably watching actual play is good or bad in the same way that art is. I'm overextended. It's fine. Grab a drink, refill something, grab a snack, stretch, cycle fluids, take care of yourself, because sitting for 3-4 hours at a time is not always great for you. So that's why we're taking a break. And we will see you back in a couple minutes for the thrilling conclusion of at least this sortie and perhaps our series. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. That was a hell of a first half. That was super cool, and I am very, very excited to see what happens next. You are watching episode 7 of Rebel Crown for our Speculate listeners and for my wonderful viewers on Twitch. That was awesome, and I cannot wait to see how Mike's going to follow up with this. Although before I do that, I'm just going to quickly adjust the windows, because someone left and came back, turning off the camera, thereby making everyone in the wrong spot. It's no problem. I've got this. And everyone is back exactly where they need to be, and I managed to vamp long enough. All right, we are back, and I'll hand it back over to Mike to see whatever the freaking hell he's going to do to top what he just did in the first half. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, so the very quickest of recaps, Harvest has achieved victory in battle against Bara, a sworn sword of King Maedoc, who just before she was slain, kind of officially broke from the rules in pulling out an extra weapon that had not been kind of accounted for or accepted, and called for some people to do it. Bara then lost her head in a very dramatic fashion, which also then kind of terrorized Arter, the merchant / ex-mercenary who has some thugs trying to come after Ciaran. And elsewhere, Rowan has, I think, appeared just behind Arter, and we saw Venner kind of knock together the heads of a few other guards, taking advantage of a moment created by Harvest when they did a like sweeping uppercut with their giant sword that cracked Bara's breastplate and sent her flying backwards to set up for the final exchange. So as we come back in, the kind of people behind Arter scatter, and Rowan is there. All right, what happens next, Brandon?
I just kind of because I don't want to. I want to give off the air that I've been watching the whole time, even though I just recently made myself visible. So I just kind of stand there silently, just like menacingly, like glancing at Arter.
Are you getting yourself into his field of vision?
Yeah, I want to be close enough that he can see me.
Okay.
But not so close that like he is capable of like immediately reaching me after like already throwing his fighter's head on the floor.
And is your Sloak badge showing in this moment?
I'm actually flipping it like a coin in my hand.
Cool.
Is Ledger anywhere visible, Mike?
I think we, the audience, maybe before we zoom in on Rowan, I can go back, use some more GM stress for a flashback, and we cut, like basically we pull away from the fight and up and see into a window on a third level a like a finely dressed woman in like layers of brocades watching through a spyglass.
Oh, slick. Okay.
And then like as the camera is pulling away, we hear the thundering of steps going up the stairs at someone saying, Madoc's men are here. I don't know what they're doing. And we go back to the stage.
Cool, thanks.
And yeah, you're there, Rowan, and Arter is still like fairly terrified, like wide eyes, like scrambling back. His like butcher's blade is a few steps away, and so he goes for a dagger and says like, "You're not here for me, Sloak. Get out of the way. This isn't your fight."
What makes it not?
But what, like, I said it like that. What I should probably have said it is, "This isn't your fight. It's like there is real fear in his voice.
Get away from me.
From a scabbard that I have like at my back, I draw a long silver blade. And I'm not looking at him.
Mhm.
I'm glancing at him, and like most of my attention is like my body is not even facing him. And when I draw the blade, I go, "Are you sure it wouldn't be my fight friend?"
So in like as you're kind of doing this back and forth, a couple of Arter's people come at you, and one of them gets a quarrel in their back and like slumps into the other one, and you see very familiar fletching
Ooh.
on the quarrel. Your eye catches the movement of a cloak in the distance, and not where Ledger was watching, but on top of a different building, you see kind of a familiar crown of dyed silver curly hair, and she throws you a wink before disappearing.
I wink back before she disappears.
So she's got your back.
Nice.
So what's the role here? What are you trying to do?
I just like my initial intent is just to intimidate him into giving up.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of obvious at this point. I think he knows he doesn't want to get in a fight with anybody present. But
Yeah.
I kind of want him to be absolutely positively sure.
Yeah, I think this is still risky because there's so much chaos, but you are going to have great effect.
Am I gonna have great effect even if I sway instead of command?
Okay. I think if you just want him to leave and will let him leave, I think you can have great effect.
I don't want him to leave. I want him to like actively surrender to Ledger.
Okay. I think if you get great effect, you will achieve that because you will finish the clock.
Okay, so, and you can let me know if this doesn't work. But like after like idly being intimidated at this point, I will like finally like gently turn my head towards Arter and say, I don't mean to have any trouble, but I can. But if you simply let everyone know the trouble that you were here to cause, we can see to it that your sentence is light.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna sway.
I think you'll still get risky great there because you could just kill him.
Yeah. Risky great. Does the devil have anything for me? No. I don't want to hear what the devil has to say. I'm good.
It was just
gonna,
some harm.
I'm just gonna roll these 2 dice.
I was like, well, since you asked, shut up. Hey,
right, there's a 6.
What I'm talking about.
So yeah, I think you're saying this, and here's my pitch of a way to make Rowan look cool. As you're saying this, one of Arter's other guards like takes a swipe at you, and you just like either dodge it or dispatch them or whatever. And like so we get to see like what is Rowan like being like sneaky, dodgy, fast warrior person while still kind of like talking to and intimidating Arter. But you're welcome to provide a different detail if you'd rather.
In that vein, I think that it's literally that one of Arter's men tries to like tackle me, like give me a full body tackle. I just kind of jump over them.
Okay.
While they like hit the ground and slide across the turf, and I haven't actually moved from like the individual spot that I was standing in, So it didn't really require a great deal of effort from me. I just kind of like gently leapt over him while he moved and continued talking.
Yeah, that sounds like the thing. And that was great effect, which fills that clock. But there are still some people headed for Ciaran, because we realize that Arter has people, and then there are Lolaire forces here as well. And those folks, I think, are probably now with another beat making their way toward Ciaran. And so I will turn the camera to Alex. All of this is happening. Your champion has dispatched one of Maedoc's kind of the best trained warriors, and you've thwarted or largely thwarted this ambush, but it's not quite done yet.
Can I have a flashback, please?
Absolutely.
I actually need some information. So when we were kind of hanging around in the southern markets, gathering intelligence and all that, what I want to have also kind of done was sort of taken the temperature of the denizens of the markets to see if, like, you know, as is typical in environments like this, where they're just kind of like, we don't really fuck with the king, we just want to be left alone, we're not like a bunch of loyalists to either side, we just, you know, don't want anyone here, Maedoc or the other one, or if there's some kind of other, you know, what's the attitude?
Yeah, I think you can definitely make that type of role. If you spend one stress, you can have greater effect.
I will go ahead and
in terms of a more involved flashback.
Okay.
Because you have, like, fictionally you could have done this, but I think one stress represents like a more comprehensive flashback, which then gives you the potential for greater effect in this situation.
Perfect.
Playing is hacking. Believe it.
So I assume this would be a study.
Yeah, you can definitely do study. I think, yeah, you would also have the same effect with sway. I don't think the people here are people you can consort with.
Oh, you know what? If I can use sway, I will use sway.
Okay.
Like, tell me how you feel about things. I'm definitely not a ruler in disguise. Hello, fellow common person. I too am a common person. How are you feeling about the royalty these days?
Yeah, I think, or if you were fully disguised, maybe this, you know, you could carry that off. But I think even as a visiting noble, that they can't immediately identify, because I think a lot of common people would not necessarily know the face of the Splendour, because, like, how widely is that distributed? Like paintings, like nobles are the ones who have that, right? Most people like go off of sigils and banners and things. So this would be controlled standard. No, controlled great, because you can build on the information that other people got. But if if you get a consequence, then I'll fold it into something which could make trouble.
All right. Well, and I'll roll my dice. See what we get.
A lot of skirmish and sway today.
Do not mess.
All right. So taking the temperature, people are worried about the local power struggle between Arter and Ledger. You hear that the merchants are stressed about Maedoc's taxes, which he's levied to pay for the army. And people are stressed about literal levies from young people being taken from villages or being commanded to go and serve as conscripts. So it's not like revolutionary fervor, but there is a lot of unease here. And there does not seem to be, from the people that you spoke to, a great deal of specific loyalty to the crown. There is like, you'll hear people talk about, oh, well, like House Tarv sent some people down to fix the bridge when it flooded, like some kind of basic noble stuff, but that's more about Sagane and Tarb than Lolaire because of how feudalism works.
Okay. So as Madoc's, so now back into the present, as Madoc's men are closing in on me, and I realize that my best means of escape, as I am not a sneaky person, is to get the crowd to go after them, because it's not like they're going to support me. I'm going to kind of like try to pick out someone that I might kind of recognize as one of the more disgruntled people, and run up to them like I'm scared out of my wits, kind of like, you know, clutching at their shirt, and just be like, Maedoc sent men here to kidnap all of the men. They're back there, and point towards some of the ones that are coming towards us.
Okay.
Hasn't he taken enough?
Right on. I think that is a risky great, or is this sway?
This is definitely
This
sway.
sounds like sway. Sway, I think, is risky great.
Okay.
Based on that setup and the crowd, and just how many, like, people's blood is up because there's just been a death, and they're screaming, and like, this is probably the scariest, most exciting thing that a lot of people have encountered in possibly years, unless they've been around where wraiths are, because this is that world.
Yeah, it's WrestleMania.
Well, and actually, a thing to kind of add to the sway factor is, not only is Maedoc has sent people here to take a bunch of conscripts or whatever, they're coming through the crowd right now. Our tear sold us out.
Okay.
See what he just did.
Yeah, I think that still stays at great effect, but it's I see a lot of how that connects to things, and it makes a great deal of sense.
All right, so you know what? I've got enough stress available. I will go ahead and push myself.
Okay.
To get a bonus die.
I will offer the devil's bargain for a die.
What does the devil have for me?
You'll get a bonus die if the other shoe drops.
No.
I mean, this is the series finale. I want to kind of know what the other shoe is, to be honest.
We'll still find out. The other shoe will still drop.
I don't know, guys. What do you think?
I promise it'll be fun.
Yeah, oh sure.
I think it's
it's
always very exciting to see the shoe drop until the shoe drops on you, and we don't know where the shoe is dropping yet. So we could wait.
True.
It's still kind of fun even when it drops on you. Let's be real.
That could be season 2. That could be season 2.
Season 2, the shoe drops.
We have to get the Splendor to the throne first. We can
Exactly.
find out that afterwards.
Exactly. Maedoc Strikes Back, season 2. That's,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take
and credit scene after credits. That could be the after credit
the
scene.
post-credit scene.
I'm gonna take the devil's bargain.
Oh,
awesome. So yeah, that's another bonus die.
All right,
you're
so
at risky great.
Risky great with 2 bonus die. Now watch, just see if I eat shit on this roll.
3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, so I think you succeed enough to whip up the crowd, and the consequence is that the escalation that was already going to whip up the crowd makes things even worse. And to get it on kind of quote unquote screen, kind of in our mind's eye, you kind of go and you say that, and you kind of pull on their sleeves, and 2 or 3 people kind of like turn, and you've got their attention, and you feel like they believe you, and then one of them like points and basically points past you behind, says, they're here. And then again, content warning for violence and blood. One of Madoc's men slits somebody's throat and pushes them into the crowd. and the wraith springs from their body.
Oh, tremendous.
And then you hear another scream from elsewhere, from the other side, and then another.
Bastard.
And
Maedoc is a bad man.
Yeah.
I am going to reveal a clock.
Oh man.
Well, that's sure a shoe, all right.
Yep, quite a shoe.
So there is now a 6 clock of wraiths that y'all will need to address because, as we remember, wraiths are generated by death, and the more violent and sudden the death, the faster and more dangerous the wraith. You have the zombies take over a whole village because they turn, and then the ones that die turn and take the rest. That domino effect can happen with wraiths, and that is why the kingdom of Elanius has fallen. And you saw plain as day, somebody, one of Madoc's people just slit somebody's throat and pushed them into the crowd, summoning a wraith. And so that's been unleashed on this crowd of hundreds.
Oh, well.
Can I make that roll to take my sword back now?
Yeah.
I know what my duty is.
Would that be a prey roll?
Yeah, doing a prey will let you basically do it faster so that you can respond to the situation.
So I can have my silver sword and then go deal with new ghosts.
Understanding that one of the consequences I might do is say that it takes longer.
Yeah. Okay. If I declare a holy relic and the symbol of the claimant's favor, which is the holy relic, can I get a bonus in some way, or does that just let me do this?
Let me take a look again. So you have, if you declare the fine silver weapon and the symbol of claimant's favor, I think you will have great effect.
Okay. Do I need to declare the holy relic as well, or no?
No, I think in this case, the symbol can be the relic because it was established fictionally.
Great. Amen. 7 out of 8 load. Okay. So, yeah. All right. Do you have a devil's bargain for me here? And this is risky great now?
Yes, risky great. Sounds right.
You get a bonus die, but the third shoe will drop. And
I think what should my devil's bargain be? I think the devil's bargain would be that basically the movement of the crowd cuts you off from everybody.
Okay.
So you could not easily move from there to anyone else in the group.
Could I move to wraiths that are in the crowd though?
Yes, but you wouldn't you wouldn't have the position to protect somebody else without an action roll in between, if that sounds okay.
This is me asking for homework, but I have the level 1 harm guilty. Does that reduce my effect here?
Yeah, I think it would have to.
Okay, so I'm back down to risky standard.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make the straight up and down roll.
Yeah, so I think guilty applies, but the face gash won't here because I don't think seeing is important in this moment.
Yeah.
Wraiths
And
don't
bruised
do
ribs
crap,
doesn't
I
feel like this.
believe.
Okay. Do I want to slide my position? Is that for that extra dice? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go to desperate great.
Okay.
Because I'm a monster. And so that gives me 1 bonus dice. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, that's a 4.
Okay. I'm trying to decide how mean I should be.
Listen, Harvest has gotten away with a lot. So
I will be maximally mean.
Okay.
maximally. HNRZ.
Could alternatively not be mean at all.
The controlled consequence is that it takes a little while.
Okay.
The other controlled consequence is level 1 harm that becomes level 2 harm, Wraith Scarred.
Okay.
Oof.
But harm can be resisted.
Or
Either of those can be resisted, but they're individual.
I'm going to resist that harm.
Okay.
So it takes longer though, either way around though, right?
Yeah, I think you have to, like, whatever you say or you think, you have to repeat it a bit and gather your attention. And as you say it, I think you hear, and again, this is like, I'm going to kind of go and describe a bit of character, like trauma backstory. So like this would be like flashback stuff. You hear voices of other people you've killed over the years, and the ring of like the sound of her death, like layered over that.
I like that narrative.
Guilty is
Like, as
expressing.
the adrenaline starts to drop, you know, that guilty effect comes in more, and you know, I'm looking down at Vera's body right now, being like, yeah, this was a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna roll to resist the Wraith Guard though.
Okay.
That's a crit.
Oh wow. Okay,
Hooray.
so you clear 1 stress.
Hell yeah.
What why did it work so well? Like what breakthrough, like is this some point of change for Harvest with regards to how they feel about like their killing and wraiths?
You know, I think there is that moment of the guilt overcoming them, and then I think they think back on their conversations with Ciaran and think about, you know, this turn towards faith that they've made over the course of the past couple months here. And, you know, when they struck Bara down, they did it as an act of like holy action. And so I think they sort of have a moment to realize that, no, wait, this is the way of the world. This is the order of things. And yes, the wraiths rise when we commit violence, but this is the path towards finding a way to have, you know, a wraith-free world. And we only need to follow the claimant's guidance. So, you know, I think almost in D&D terms, Harvest has gone from barbarian to paladin in this moment, you know. I think there is just that growing conviction settles into them in a very deep-rooted way, as this, in their mind, becomes a sign of a chosen divine path.
Cool. Yeah, and I think the silver gray of Bera's wraith, like face racked with anger and pain, like softens and fades and softens, and with it the echoing of the cries of the people that Harvest has killed over the years. And that fades, but it yields to almost conflagration levels of sounds of fear and pain and panic, as what you've done in this moment is like, oh, you'd have to do this like another 5 times right away. And I think that the moment stretches out for Harvest and then snaps back like a rubber band as the rest of the scene comes on you.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I think I want to jump over to Venner.
Great.
Venner, you've dispatched the people that were right in front of you, but I think you're probably 15 feet from a wraith and about to get stampeded by people as they're panicking and running.
I think I think my concern actually is not going to be about the wraiths, because I feel like Venner doesn't have the freaking first idea what to do with wraiths. I think Venner's probably initial reaction is to look for the men who are slitting people's throats, because I gather they're still doing that. And I can still see them, I'm guessing, a couple, like, you know, a few of them.
I think you can still see at least one. I don't know that they would stick around a whole lot, because I think at least some of the wraiths would probably try to turn around and come for the people.
Oh, so they did bail? Oh.
But you've got people who are panicking in front of you. You've got the wraith incoming. You can like see the flows of the crowds.
I will say, if it would be possible for you to catch one, that would be useful for later, but not necessarily going to have a later, but then you're like, yeah.
One of Maedoc's
Proof of
men,
the
you mean?
crime.
One of Maedoc's men, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could apprehend one, I think that would certainly matter in kind of the social aftermath of this, in terms of whatever you might want to do to make hay about it. But the biggest active threat is the wraiths spreading through the crowd. And I would say that command is absolutely the action that you could use to try to organize people in a chaotic situation like this.
Okay, so I can either try to command people to cut down on this stuff, or I can try to catch one of Maedoc's men, or I can try to deal with the Wraith. Cranel's still with me, right? Because I didn't take the Devil's Bargain there. So I wonder if there's a way to use... no, that's Vanguard. Okay, what I'd like to do is... Sorry.
I have a note on Vanguard.
Okay.
If you command a group, they will then act as if they were a cohort for the rest of the scene and would gain your effect. Like I said the command thing because this is a moment I see for Venner to be a commander. And so I want to gesture toward that and give you the opportunity.
Okay. So then what I would say is, if they're going to fight for me at that, then what I'm going to say to Cranel is, I'm going to say, Cranel, go get that bastard. And I'm going to, sort of gesture, jerk my head in the direction of Maedoc's guy. Flashback, long period of montage doing nothing but chase training for weeks on end. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't actually do that. But
he becomes an expert in parkour.
Yeah. It's just like, you're the best. No, and none of that's the case. None of that happens. But I do think, but I have obviously had several, moments of strong connection with Cranel with all the details and stuff like that. And also Cranel now knows that Maedoc's, like the effect that Maedoc had a little bit on me and also by proxy on him. So anyway, I think that would give him some extra bonus. So I want to send Cranel off towards Maedoc. And then command, yes, and then I want to, so I sort of stand forward. I, bulk up as far as possible. I have also worn heavy armor and I stand forward and I shout out, Echo Machine, people of the southern markets, stand and turn. This is your land. Do not let them, and I point at the Wraiths, take it from you. And so I like, and I do that. And while, people are sort of racing around me, like I literally kind of am like holding things out, holding out my arms, almost like trying to corral the waves, you know what I mean? And pull them together. So this is obviously a command roll. And what's up, Rockgod? Good to see you, man. I am at 7 stress already. I mean, it is a finale. I mean, now might be the time to take a scar.
I would offer the Devil's Bargain that you would take the level 1 harm battered by basically people just like running into you and jostling you while you're trying to like consolidate and get people to rally.
Yes, done. I'll do that. 100%. Okay. Absolutely.
But you will not have to take the less effect on that for this roll.
Okay. So, so then do I also push myself in an addition? So right now it would be risky. Am I in desperate position?
I think this is desperate because of Wraiths and the crowd. So this is desperate, desperate standard.
Crap. If I succeed even with a standard, do they then function for Vanguard even in that event?
Yeah. So if you get a hit here, then if you command them again, you will get to apply Vanguard, where they won't break as easy, they gain effect, and they have an armor, where basically if I did a consequence that is damage to the crowd, you could then use the armor.
Yeah. I'm just worried about, because the thing is, I still feel like we're waiting for the now we challenge Maedoc moment, and I'm worried about pushing when I'm already at 7 stress, because I feel like that's going to be the moment where, you know, no, I'm gonna have to roll with what we've got. So I will take the devil's bargain, and so I'm gonna have command with a bonus die. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Command with a bonus die, I think. I gotta save that last stress for the next crap that happens. All right. So, okay. So it is desperate. It is standard. It is 1 bonus die. All right.
Does anybody have inspiration they want to throw Arv's way?
Ooh.
Is that something here?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're willing to accept it. Chat, if anyone has an inspiration to inspire me for a change, that would be lovely. Because I know some people out there have some inspirational.
Yeah, I think I have.
Timaeus has inspired me. Hell yes, Timaeus. Thank you. You are an officer and gentleman. Thank you. Thank you.
And if so, for 1 inspiration, I'd give you opponent +1d. If somebody else wants to spend inspiration, you could also have improved effect.
Ooh, chat, can you do that? So thank you, Timaeus. Thank you. All right, chat, can you also inspire 1 more time to give me increased effect? Shadowed has still got 1. Could you do it? The Eberron people tomorrow are going to be like, why is everyone's inspirations blown? Never mind. Okay. We did it to save the land. Inspire, not R. Very funny. Very funny. Yeah, you're a laugh riot, big guy.
Okay.
I'm going to take that as yes.
That's
all right.
+1d and +1 effect. So that puts you at desperate. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shadowed. Thank you, Timaeus, very much. Desperate. Great. Okay. Now after all that, let's not mess this up. 2 bonus dice, right? Because 1 bonus die. Okay. Let's do this. Oh my God. But it's 4 5s though. That's got to count for something. 4 5s.
It's a baby crit.
Yahtzee. Come on. Like
16 crits, then 4 5.
For the love of God, 4 5s.
A crit miss success should count as a full success.
I mean, yeah, like really. I could turn up the echo machine, like, you know, you can do it. I could do that. Like,
so you'll get the full effect. So I'm going to. So I think the great effect is you can spend 2 and basically create the cohort, and you would have 1 left to put on the Wraith Clock if you wanted. But then I will give you the consequence. So basically you got 3 ticks of success. And I was okay for standard to basically create a cohort out of this group.
Right, create a cohort, but then also get a tick on the Wraith, which would leave it at 5, right? Or no, it goes the other way, like 1 out of 6?
Yeah, the Wraith Clock has 0, so you get 1 of 6.
Yeah, I know, I'll do it. What's the consequence? And you die. Like, okay, well, that's...
So I think
fair.
I think the consequence is that the crowd immediately starts taking casualties. Like, as you are rallying people, others are getting taken down by the Wraiths.
Yes. War sucks. Yes. I think I see that, and there's a moment where I sort of look over at Cranel, who I imagine is also making his way over, and I imagine there's a moment where I think about I imagine the sequence is very similar to me of the time when my own men were betrayed, when my own people were betrayed by, you know, Maedoc's treachery. And I think I probably see the people. I see Bara's head still lying on the ground there near Arter, and I'm just like, and I have this moment where I almost kind of shut my eyes, and then I just, like, you know, shake it off. But, whew, all right.
So
we did something, people. We got something.
What I will say is, you can resist this consequence.
I have. Oh, well, no, that's not going to help me because it's not harm to me. Could I have resisted the battered with heavy armor? Because I had heavy armor, but I guess I'll just skip that. I don't want to ex post factor that far. I didn't think about it till now.
So you would, I think I could see you could pick which attribute you would want to use to resist, and just say, how do you keep a chunk of the crowd from being hurt or taken by the wraiths?
Okay, since I have heavy armor, I would say as I'm doing this that I'm literally wading through a sea of people in front of those who are about to get hurt by the wraiths, and I would assume that as these creatures come through battering against my armor, that I'm using that like a living shield, right?
Okay, so you basically you take the consequence on yourself.
Yes, and then hopefully use one of my armor to help mitigate that if I can.
Yeah. What I would say, if that sounds okay, is that level 3 harm, which would basically incapacitate or kill a chunk of the crowd,
right,
taken on you and resisted down with armor, would become another level 1 harm, which would be chilled, as the silvery fingers of the wraiths struggle but move through the armor and like send a death chill down your spine.
Is that cold? It looks like here, or no? That's not. Oh no, it's
no. So not scars. It would be a harm that's just called a level 1 harm, chilled.
Chilled. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Does anybody? This is actually kind of important. I assume people in the crowd see me doing that, like they recognize what's happening. Okay. Because what's really important here is that they see the different actions between the Splendor's retinue and Arter's people who bailed the hell out, or Maedoc's people who slit people's throats, right? Or even the Sluach, where the Sluach actually stepped forward and did something with Rowan, right? Like, I don't know. I just want it to be, this is all happening very publicly, so I like the idea of them publicly seeing the difference between honorable people and thugs and bastards who deserve the grave. So, okay. So, all right, I'll take that. So that's chilled. Do I then, how do I handle this on the armor? Do I tick one of those off? Like, how does that work on the sheet?
So you would put a tick, so you see armor uses next to healing.
Oh, I actually, to healing. Yes, okay.
So it's next to the harm clock. So I think you've now used armor and heavy. So you would click both of those boxes.
Okay, so I use both of those. I also take experience, right, because of the desperate roll.
So you do get an experience, and that goes into resolve because you used command.
Right. Okay. Okay. And so I did that. I did the other, and now I have them with Vanguard, and I kept the people from being killed. Yes, this all is 100% Venner. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, Venner's voice cuts through the din, and we see him like wading through the crowd and intercepting one of the wraiths that kind of gets a swipe on him, and like kind of semi-solid going through the armor, but people start to form up back to back and then people side by side. And, you see someone goes for a silver knife, someone kind of pulls a necklace off, and they have like a silver crossroads cross.
Awesome.
From the god of paths.
Awesome.
And they are a tier 0 cohort, but you do have a group of people that you've organized that you can kind of bring into battle.
They give a damn. I'll take them over tier whatever any day.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So we've got that. We've got the...
And I feel like, just quickly, I was also conscious of Ciaran's circumstances, but I think what happened, it all happened so fast that I was like, I need to save these people also. So I was kind of like, I don't know. Like I probably in the midst of doing that, Battered might have also tried to find Ciaran, but maybe there's just too much chaos going on.
So actually that gives me the thing that I want to do. Greg, I would like you to roll a 2-die fortune roll for Cranel.
Oh man.
All right, buddy.
Brutal.
Good luck, little buddy.
You can do it, Cranel. Remember your training. All right.
We spent some time on Cranel. This is kind of the big moment for him in this series, because he's really just been at your side.
You've got this, Cranel. You've got this.
2 dice, you said?
2 dice fortune roll.
Oh, shoot. Then I saw notes.
Yeah, notes is just a description, so you can write in Cranel if you like.
I wrote in something different.
Okay.
Yes, he can do it. Yes, he can do it. Yes, he can.
That's a 3.
It's my
and a
boy
6.
right there. It's my boy.
So,
hell yes.
Kind of Cranel breaks out of the kind of chaotic crowd pretty quickly. And do you think did you both show up like armored?
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
So he like unshoulders a round wooden shield and starts chasing Madoc's killer. And Madoc's killer like turns and swipes at him, and we the audience see Cranel execute basically a textbook block, counter, grapple, disarm.
Nice.
Which is like the sequence that Venner had been training him in when they've like we had the first like zoom in on Cranel and Venner training.
Yep.
And this time he does it just right. And like the guys on the ground, we kind of we're looking up at Cranel as he levels the sword at the guy's throat, and that flower is pinned to his breast.
Yeah, awesome.
Because unlike his father, he stood loyal.
Awesome, that's awesome.
Did not did not break when he was needed.
That's great stuff. Awesome.
So that's Cranel. I wanted to get that beat since
that's
you
awesome.
created
Thank
that
you.
opportunity for me, which I love.
Thank you. I virtually high five him from a great distance.
Yeah.
By the way, this whole thing I feel like is set to maybe the greatest end of movie credit theme music of all time, which is the last 10 minutes of The Last of the Mohicans. Leave aside other things, that is the greatest music matched to action ever. And I'm sorry, it's that good. So anyway, that's the music I'm imagining in my head while this is all going down. That's incredible. Thanks, Mike. Good stuff.
Yeah. So I think now we will cut back to Ciaran as there is a terrified crowd and wraiths. I think you're far enough away from where Venner has rallied a group of people that the people around you are not a cohort. They are a group of terrorized people who are in grave danger.
Okay. So Ciaran is like, this is the moment I've been training for my entire life as a heretic. They're going to pull their silver blade and their that special silver chain, the super impressive fancy one. And I imagine I still probably have like, the people around me who are freaking out, but one of them, I'm just going to put my hand on their shoulder and say, what was their name?
Okay, yeah. Cool. So I think scale-wise, the action I'm going to ask for is the broader action of dealing with the wraith. So what aspect are you highlighting here?
So basically what their purpose is they're trying to first project so much calm and command to be like, get everyone to stop freaking out and just kind of like, what is their name? Do what I do. And then going to lead them in Ciaran's special heretical prayer to lay a wraith to rest.
Okay. I think in this first beat, you're going to have greater effect with command.
Yes.
So this would be, so you've got the silver blade and the chain. Chain is tier 1. Okay. So I think this is desperate standard.
Let's see.
And I think the devil's bargain would be that before or like during this process, one of those wraiths takes a swipe at you, and you would take the level 1 harm. What should the level 1, what that harm be? Soul scraped.
I'll do it.
Can I resist that 4? Ciaran?
Hmm?
Can Harvest come over there and resist that for Ciaran? Is that a thing that you can do?
Let's
Or am I
see.
too far away?
I don't remember where we settled on the do you end up cut off from everybody?
I
didn't
think
take the Devil's Bargain.
Yeah, if you did not take that bargain, then yes, you can.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, can I try to resist it myself?
You could, yes. So I would leave that to the two of you as players to decide.
I've never actually had to do a thing where I resist harm, etc. So like, should I have armor? Should I? Because I still have room in my load.
Yeah, I think so. You can resist just by saying you resist, but then you have to make a resist roll and possibly take stress from it. I think you alone, I would let have armor that would work against the Wraith here.
Okay. I will add armor
to my
load.
if you spend armor. So you would tick the armor, and then just to the left of that armor, there is another thing that says armor, and that's the basically has this been used box versus the am I wearing it box.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll get a bonus die from the Devil's Bargain, where maybe we see you can still use the chain after this, but maybe the chain is what protects you as the Wraiths kind of swipes at you.
Okay.
Unless you have an idea for another form of protection that Ciaran would be using.
No, that seems, as long as I can still use it, I think that's fair. It's just like it loses its Wraith blocking properties.
Okay, so that is Desperate Standard. You have the Devil's Bargain die. You can push. We have the Devil's Bargain die, so no push. You could get an assist from someone.
I'll assist.
Okay. So that will let us get Harvest over to Ciaran, which I think is a cool, like, I'm interested in what that looks like, because then we've got another kind of moment or section of this battle.
Yeah, I think Harvest heading for Ciaran immediately after being done up on stage makes the most narrative sense.
All right, so that gives me 2 bonus die.
Yeah.
Don't fuck me, dice.
Yeah, there you go. 5.
Okay, so that we'll put two more ticks on this clock. 1, 2. But a desperate consequence is rough. And I think what happens with a desperate consequence, and again, this can be resisted, is that one Wraith swipes for you, but then there's another one closer than you thought could have been possible. Maybe somebody else who was just killed comes at you from the side, and a silvery claw plunges through your heart. And you would take the level 3 harm, heartbroken.
I think this is where I would like to be a bodyguard and resist that and sort of block that Wraith with my silver blade.
Mm-hmm.
So can I make a prowess resist?
Yes.
Great.
Good.
And you get your full
do
pull.
Not have much stress left, Ciaran.
Because you are not doing this off of your own desperate.
Oh,
I'm sorry, say that again.
You get your full resist because you're not doing it after having courageous.
Right. Okay.
Oh, do I get an XP for doing that?
Yes.
That roll?
You get a XP in whatever the social one is. In
Resolve.
Resolve, yeah.
Okay. So I'm rolling 46.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. That's a 5.
Okay. So you pay the 1 that you got back last time.
Yeah. Well, I paid 2 now because I assisted and this, so I've got 3
sure,
left.
Okay. So yeah, what does it look like when you kind of spring to your Splendor's defense?
I think this is just like a Naruto run if Naruto had a giant sword out front and was a bowling ball, basically. So I think seeing this happening, Harvest sort of just leaps off the stage and makes a direct straight line for Ciaran, seeing everything breaking bad in all this way, and just knocking anyone out of their path.
Okay. And
it's sort of sliding to a stop with the silver sword blocking this Wraith's attack.
Yeah. We've been having resists take a consequence down 2 levels. I'm going to let this take all 3, specifically because you have a silver weapon.
Fine silver weapon.
Yeah. So that
very
that
fine
is cool.
silver weapon.
Yeah. So I think you get Harvest interposes themselves and stops that other Wraith, which gives you the time to kind of provoke one of these civilians into stammering the name of the person who was just slain, which is Owen. And you are able to kind of speak Owen's name, lock the Wraith in place, and then go ahead and describe how you kind of send him on his way.
So we can't do the slow process that is normally Ciaran's desire to do. What is the ground? Is it just like, like trampled down grass, or is it mostly dirt? Or
yeah, I think this is fairly trampled grass. It's spring, so I think there's a fair bit of new growth, but I guess we're toward the end of spring now. Yeah, so it's not too muddy, but it's definitely like trampled on. It's not pristine at all because people coming and going all the time.
Okay. In that case, what they're going to do is they're going to actually like bend down for a second and use the silver knife to actually like cut up some like turf and grass and a little bit of that soil, and just basically say Owen's name and ask the god of this field that the southern markets stand on, which must be a very strong god because so many people are here and so many people, devote so much energy here, and tell Owen it is time to go to sleep. It is time to go to this ground that you loved so much.
Cool. And we, the audience, see what Owen's Wraith sees, which is in grayscale, a quick cut of years of their life as a kind of just a stall, like an assistant to a stall that sells belts, like a very kind of everyday life. He loved, he had friends, he worked, he was tired, sometimes he was scared. It was a tumultuous life that was cut short, but you kind of remind him and reground him in just the everyday reality of a very locally lived life where his ties with this place were never severed, even as his life was taken, and he sinks into the ground and dissolves. And with that, you are at 3 of 6 on the clock dealing with the Wraiths. And I want to jump over to Rowan.
Yes.
So I think you're in probably a third part of the space. So if it's like a circle all around the stage, over on this side, I think we have Ciaran and Harvest. Over here, we have Venner and the kind of 6 to 10 civilians that he has rallied together as this cohort. And you're at like the third point in a triangle that is circumscribed in this circle. Mm-hmm. And there are probably 2 Wraiths that are within close eye shot of you, and chaotic, terrified people. Arter, I think, has just thrown down blades, given up, and then when the Wraiths came, probably disappeared. You could have intercepted him if you wanted, but if you don't do anything, he will have fled.
So many things are happening. I want to ask a series of questions that have nothing to do with my immediate decision.
Okay.
Do I know where Maedoc is?
Nothing that's happened so far leads you to believe that Maedoc is here himself.
Cool. Noted.
Yeah, he's a big old coward. He just
Yeah.
sent his murderers here.
Guy's
What
a
a
punk.
dick.
Guy's a punk.
Boo!
Always has been a punk. Born a punk, lived a punk.
Maedoc Lolaire is gonna get his. But that is for another time, it would seem. I need to do two things. I'm trying to figure out how they are done. Let me just take a good look at the things that I have on my person.
Yep. And I will repeat now that if you fill your stress track, you then get one more action at increased effect before you have to quit the scene.
Right. Okay. I want to do some wild and silly bullshit.
Lay it on me.
That's us.
So the thing that Rowan is processing in this moment is that they're not a person of faith, but that they have had an experience that is the only like close experience that they've ever had to faith. And that's to Roz. And that's who they want to like ask for guidance in this moment. So what they're going to do is that they're going to run towards the nearest wraith with their silver sword in front of them.
Mhm.
And then close their eyes and actually like start calling Roz.
Okay.
Oh.
What action is this?
I would like to argue that because Roz is my good friend and guardian, that I can sway instead of the other thing.
I think you would have the most effect here with prey.
I have no dots in prey. And we're really
this
just
could
moving by
be-
faith and not by sight.
You could absolutely roll skirmish here, but that's a more mundane response. You have silver. You can just fight. I think if you want the version of this that involves that where if you succeed, Roz intercedes somehow, that probably needs to be prey. However, I will note that you have a find trained hunting pet on your sheet. And the only fine trained hunting pet I know is Rose, Roz's eagle friend. So just throwing that out there.
Okay. I know what's going to happen. And in fact, okay, so I'm gonna do the two things. Can I still see what did we already deal with the like the first assassin, the first person who actually like drew blood here? Did we already deal with that guy?
I think that is the one that Venner got.
Okay, cool.
Cranel.
Sorry, Cranel got.
Right, yes. So I'm gonna do two silly things. One is I'm going to take my sloch pin and just throw it in the air. Just like high enough that it can catch some light and then catch it back.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take my silver sword. And as I'm charging this one wraith, I'm just going to whistle. And if anything hears me, I hope that it goes well. But other than that, I'm just trying to like stab a wraith with a silver sword and see what happens.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting is not good. I should know. I also GM Blades in the Dark Years.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how best to express this.
Nothing that I've done worked.
Your death is a destructive.
No, I
key.
think so. This isn't a devil's bargain. This is the conversation. Capital T, capital C. A 1 stress flashback will get you Rose showing up and helping you.
Mm-hmm.
It will then put you into like stress, like the stress crisis point, where you would get 1 more action after that and then have to quit the field. And I think what that looks like is that the 1 stress and the flashback represents, to a certain degree, the relationship that you have with Roz, and or setting up Rose coming to help you. And we see the Rose's talons catch the light glinting off the pin and flash silver for a moment as she kind of cuts through the form of the wraith, distracting it long enough for you to run it through with your blade.
Okay.
You still have to roll, but like that's the thing we're doing.
That's clearly the hope.
Okay, right. Okay, we're doing that.
Okay, finally got there. Finally got somebody to fill their stress track.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
12 more wraiths appear, and damn it.
Yeah, you will get.
Y'all forced me to get rid of my stress, so I'm just saying.
It's true. DongWon, I see you. I see you playing this character like a stolen card.
Like a stolen tank,
right.
but yeah.
So that's a skirmish then?
Yeah, I think this is now a desperate great skirmish.
Do I still gain XP if I'm unconscious?
You get an XP for this action for sure.
Okay.
And you might get an XP for whatever kind of last gasp action you take if you have to get there.
And no bonus dice. Submit. 4-5.
Okay.
So I charge this wraith, having no idea what I can do or what the silver sword can do, just hoping for the best.
Okay. I'm deciding how mean to be.
Oh Lord, you could not be mean.
Last time this discussion happened, you were, quote, maximally mean. The law of
That is
averages
true.
indicates today minimally mean would be the...
Okay, so I'm going to offer you a tough choice, and I expect that I know what the answer is, but I'm still going to make you do it. Your tough choice is either the wraith will swat Rose out of the sky, or you will take that blow, and you'll take level 2 harm, soul chilled.
I'll take it.
Okay.
It has to be me.
How far away is Brandon?
I think I had pitched that Rowan is kind of on the other side of the stage from Harvest and Ciaran, unless somebody else I could entertain any number of options on how someone might protect Rowan in this moment.
I mean, I've been thinking about it myself, but I was trying to think narratively about me trying to protect the crowd, and I was like, I don't know.
We're all pretty occupied, yeah. I mean, I'm so focused on protecting the Splendor that I'm not sure that actually I would even notice whatever's going on with Rowan.
I have my philosophy treatise with me. I throw it towards the wraith.
The wraith you're gonna throw the book at it.
The wraith is exactly. The wraith is hit by the book and cannot handle French philosophy and just explodes into.
So, Rowan Brandon, you can resist this harm if you like.
I mean, I can't.
If you roll a 6, you will.
Right. This is where trending in a lot of my games just is like, just roll 6.
So
But if I don't roll a 6, doesn't that mean that I just like immediately go catatonic?
I think if you can you I don't want to go and look at the rules to see what they have to say about can you resist when your stress track is filled and you haven't made this other action. But what I would say is I think the thing that makes sense here is if you resist and have to spend any amount of stress, you don't get that last action.
Oh, is the track already full or
The track
Yeah,
is
my track
currently
is
exactly full.
Capital F, capital L full.
Oh yeah, then just take the hit.
Yeah, I just take the hits. Yeah.
So what I would ask is, do you think that a token of Roz's would be the kind of thing that could help you here?
I mean,
terms
I
of
do
like
think so.
counting as armor.
Right. I should specify that I also have armor on, but I think in the interest of the most interesting narrative, I think if I had such an emblem and I had to choose between using it to save me and using it to save the maximum number of other people as possible, I would choose the latter. So I'd still take the hit.
Okay. Yeah. So you take that harm, but Rose and you kind of dispatch this wraith. And then because this clock is full, I'm going to pull back on the scene a little bit and ask for kind of one detail from each of you on how you wrap this up. So Brandon, I'm happy to start with you if you have an idea. If you don't, we can go around and just like, I think the idea here is that let's spend maybe 5 minutes wrapping this scene. And then I'd like to kind of pull back and talk about how much of like fast forward epilogue we want to do.
So I would say that detail for Rowan would be like having experienced like this sensation of being touched like deep within by a wraith, finds the kind of reserves of energy that you'd imagine that would come from a member of the Sloach, somebody who has been like experienced some brutal extent of training, and just continues fighting through it as if it's just like being stabbed in the abdomen or something like that, and keeps like forcing my way through that wraith, preparing to tackle the next one that enters my view.
Yeah, and if I can add a detail to that detail, please let me know if you don't like it. In this quick montage that we see, Rowan is in grayscale, representing like the weight of the wound that they've suffered.
I'm gonna die, aren't I?
No, it's level 2 harm. This is
music
it's
in
flavor.
the background is
like it's level 2 harm, and you are like you have a full stress track. So like this is not me gonna pull a big like gotcha on you later. It's just a detail that I think is interesting and is consistent with some of the stuff we've done with wraiths previously.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So does anyone else have a beat or a detail they want to add on how y'all kind of wrap up this fight and or the kind of situation with Ledger? Because doing this will put you in the position to be able to have the conversation with Ledger that will get her vassalage.
Well, I was going to ask, like, and I understand we were looking to make this the finale, but I was wondering. I feel like there's one session left to deal with Maedoc himself, and the reason the reason I bring that up is that because that way, what the epilogue would be is handling Ledger, and what we'd be doing now is sort of wrapping up with this fight. Because is the Wraith track like full at this point?
The Wraith track is full.
Okay.
So
So then
you have
okay.
completed the Bara track, Arter's forces, and the Wraiths.
Okay.
So
then
the mission is quote unquote done.
Okay, so then I think what I'm doing then is sort of like as Cradle is like dragging the body, the unconscious body of Maedoc's killer back towards us. I'm going around and basically like commanding the vanguard of people who are like, rising up and like trying to like secure the area, and I'm like barking orders. And I would say that I'm doing all of that. I see where Ciaran is. I see that Ciaran has, taken harm. I look over, I see Harvest, who just looks like a complete mess, face gash and the whole bit, also having taken harm. And I would say probably the last thing I would do would be to look over and see sort of this haunted, expression on Rowan's face, just kind of, and I would imagine I would almost sort of fix there and maybe look up a little bit, and see maybe Ledger heading in our direction. That would be how I would imagine it in my head about like what I would do to wrap up. I'm dealing with my vanguard of people, basically.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that once Wraith's under the equation, Ledger is not going to like basically stay out of the
stay in the
fray.
tower,
like,
right? Yeah, like
yeah,
I would
like
assume.
Wraiths are something that everyone has to deal with.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that's what you need. That's what we need to do in this kingdom. Is
Right.
like, and I don't think Ledger is the kind of person who would like not commit to that.
Which also boosts her power relative to Arter.
Right. So we can see people who are clearly Ledger's people showing up with silver, and they are helping kind of take care of the situation as a few more people have died and their wraiths are kind of continuing to create a threat. But because y'all have filled the clock, I'm not going to make you do anything more with that. We just kind of fill out the flavor of this scene, and then that gets Ledger into this this space. If y'all want to kind of,
I think that's Ciaran's show right there. I think that's Ciaran's show to kind of be like, talk it up with Ledger and be like, so,
Yeah. I mean, basically, like for the rest of the melee, I mean, Ciaran is going to be doing like heretical prayers and getting other people to join in to help lay the race to rest. So that, helps fulfill one of their personal goals, because fuck the church. And yeah, I think after this is all done and in sort of, full Splendor fashion, at that point, they're going to go have a chat with Ledger and just lay it out as, well, we obviously solved one problem for you and another problem has presented itself, which is what the pretender Maedoc tried to do to you. So a line has been drawn through the markets. Which side are you going to stand on it?
Yeah, and in previous shots and views and descriptions of Ledger, we've seen her as very collected, maybe a little bit aloof, very confident. And here she clutches a silver, I think it's like a silver dagger, and does not look as put together, and is like closely flanked by her people. They're not threatening you, but this level of a wraith attack in a settlement is a really big deal.
Well, and a deliberately caused one, because we will of course have also dragged the person Cranel captured for us in front of them and been like, why don't you tell us everything?
What do they say, by the way, Mike? What does that person say?
Yeah, I think it takes some berating, probably between like Venner, Harvest, and or the others. But I don't believe this. I don't think this guy is so tough and so loyal that he won't at some point break and admit what's happened, which makes it very clear to Ledger just how far Maedoc was willing to go, and how he was fine to basically let the southern markets be collateral damage. And that plus Yeah, Chenray's. So silver is the only material that is known to be able to send wraiths on to the Great Reward, because this is a world where death is broken and every person that dies leaves behind a wraith. So having silver is very important. In the crowd, there was a very small amount of silver. These characters have silver because, especially this group, is specifically oriented and prepared for dealing with wraiths. So that it's a fine question. It's a bit mostly established in what we've done so far, but it's decent. It's worthwhile to return to that. And so you've got all of the position that you need. I think let's do a fortune roll based on some social from Ciaran, and the result will basically be how bought in is Ledger specifically. And that will end up, I think if you get a 1 to 3, Ledger will end up at a +0, a 4 to 5 +1, a 6. She and her faction would end up at +3. Like, how immediately loyal are they after having sworn fealty, based on what's happened and what you've done?
So that would probably be what, a 2 dice fortune roll.
Can I assist on that, or?
Yeah, I think 1 assist is fine in this situation.
I'm using my brutal ability to assist by standing behind Ciaran, blood sheeting down one side of my face. Huge fuck off sword covered in gore.
Yeah, so I think either command or sway is totally fine here. So the 2 dice plus the assist.
I command my vanguard to assist them. You also. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
5. So I'm just going to make a note that so the Southern Markets faction that Ledger is in control of will be at a +1 with a retinue after having sworn fealty, which basically means you will go from 0 to +2, and then you have to basically spend one of those to not just be allies, but for them to be vassals.
Okay.
Sweet.
Where Ledger says, I thought Arterra was my biggest problem. If Maedoc is willing to give over a whole village, a whole town to wraiths just to get to you, it tells me he doesn't care about us, and it tells me that he's afraid of you and what you can do. I don't want to let these people get washed away as he tries to clear the board. So let's you and I, when this is done, talk about what the Southern Markets can do for you.
And what we will do for the Southern Markets.
All right. So I think that's the sortie.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So we've got House Gearr, Southern Markets, and Drostan's Bandits, right? So we've got the
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
So
we got them all.
Yeah, you have
Nice.
nominal control of Belheather through Sigane, who are not vassalized yet, but are allies, and you have Drostan's Raiders and the Southern Markets specifically vassalized. So you have control of the region. There is some space in downtime or whatever to like go one step further with Sigane and like convince them that they need to kind of take the next step of swearing vassalage, but that's kind of up to y'all. It sounds like there is some interest in like doing another session for kind of epilogue wrap up, but I want to check in with y'all how you're feeling about that.
It just seems to me like it made us right there. Like, that let's go. Like, let's go. This
Yeah.
guy needs to be, because the Wraith thing. Oh man, that guy. I mean, as I think
Wouldn't
Alex
this
said,
is
like
such a great
this punk.
propaganda tool.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
Oh,
exactly.
my-
Like
My inclination is to kind of not do just a downtime and kind of have the next session be like, okay, we're going to experiment a little bit with mechanics and think about how can we have interesting moments or scenes or like plans that everybody can contribute to, but have it abstract a little bit more in time. And that would theoretically let us kind of get to a more complete conclusion for this, in terms of what does it look like when the retinue has control of a province? How do they go from that to removing Maedoc? Like, does that sound like a good last session?
I think so. I mean, because we also need to move quickly on that, because now that the situation is what it is, Maedoc's going to have to know that he's badly miscalculated, and is going to try to shore up his position, which is why I'd almost be like, we pull everyone together now. I mean, it's up to Ciaran to figure this out, but I would say it seems from our point of view that we wouldn't even have time for downtime. Just stressed, exhausted, we'd be like, we got to figure things out and get going before Maedoc has a chance to regroup, I would assume. So
I mean, if we do a little bit of downtime on the road of patching ourselves up, don't worry, we're still going to have lots of harm and stress even after a downtime.
That's fair.
That's fair. I'd be inclined to figure out some middle ground where you would have maybe the time to recover some stress and or harm.
Okay.
And then we'd roll forward from there.
Okay.
So I think it's still important to use the character actions and the abilities that y'all have, but at probably a bigger scale than we've been doing in the individual sorties. And maybe that's the way to kind of bridge that gap versus I had the idea of maybe doing let's build one big dice pool for engagement roll for the rest of the thing. I think we can probably go a bit more in detail with one more session and do it that way.
I note that if that is held next month, that would be in the month of American Thanksgiving, so that there would be a moment for the leaving aside the extraordinarily problematic roots of the holiday, just the gratitude concept of we have now returned the right person to the throne and removed this punk, right? I would think it would make for a very nice holiday season, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think one more session makes sense. If we end now, we can do our outro, and then we can do XP kind of offline. So that folks who are close to being able to fill XP tracks maybe have something cool that they can deploy in the next session. And then we will try to schedule a series finale for as soon as is viable with folks' schedule. And then we will let you, the Arvin Elleron Speculate listener / viewer, know as soon as we know when that will be, so that you can come back and join us.
Good stuff.
Okay. This has been Rebel Crown, Splendor and Shadow, a joint Speculate and twitch.tv / Arvin Elleron production. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in today. I didn't have to do a lot of prep because this is the thing. I kind of know what the threats are, and I'm just going to see what the players do. And one of the things that I love the most about this style of game is that it leaves so much space for the players to drive what's happening and to take some authority as storytellers. So I get to share that storyteller mic with these lovely people, which is very fun for me. And let's go ahead into outros. And I'm just going to kind of put this into the text again. If it's okay, we'll keep the same order, which means I will go to Brandon first.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I still am Brandon O'Brien, pronounce he, him, or they, them. I have been your outlaw, Rowan Byrne, getting into trouble and not reaping any real benefits from it. I am a poet, writer, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the co-hosts of Speculate alongside Greg and Mike. You can see me on this channel regularly GMing either The Case of the Sinded Seal or Sound Clash the Clampdown, which is a game of my own design. And this coming Halloween, I will be GMing a one-shot on this channel in which Michael or Underwood will actually be playing, which I will tell you all right now because the name is very lovely. We will be playing in the Shiver RPG system a one-shot called Death of the Author, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope that you all come out and see it on
That's
Halloween.
the first time I heard that. It's awesome.
And that will be on this channel just before Gregory's yearly Halloween reading of some Poe. So please pass through that entire evening for some good spooky content. And I also have a poetry book out called Can You Sign My Tentacle, which is a very good read for the spooky season if you are into watching the gods of the Lovecraft mythos meet up with and ask for the autographs of famous black entertainers. I definitely recommend that book. So that's me.
Yeah, I'm DongWon Song. I have been Harvest Honeysuckle, the Devoted, which I seemingly did a lot of tonight. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at DongWon, DONGWON.
And I remain Alex Acks. I have been your claimant, Splendour Ciaran Lolaire. I'm a writer and a geologist, and I've got some books you can check out if you want to go to my website, alexax.com. They're all there, but we've got like Biker Space Witches, and I've got Steampunk Pirates. So check them out.
All right. And I've been your GM, Michael R. Underwood, using all of the pronouns as the various cast members. And we have the Case of the Cindered Seal, which is the other Speculate series that Brandon GMs for a lovely crew. You can watch the archives of all of those episodes at youtube.com/ArvinEleron. And you can find me now streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/TurboTango. And I will probably be returning to Inscription, a spooky roguelike deck builder horror game, this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I've given that to you. If you want to find me on Twitter, I am not there a whole lot. I do a lot of signal boosting, and you can find me at Mike R. Underwood. And now over to Greg to take us out.
Yeah, that was a cool game. I enjoyed watching you play that, Mike. Well, so just before I say bye to me, I wanted to say that this was great stuff from all the players, and real pop, Mike, really good stuff today. Like the from a GMing point of view, the thing with the flower and that was just all gold. And it was really, really wonderfully well done and atmospheric. And actually, it was nice to see all of our die rolls to be up to the challenge for the most part, because we needed it, but it was really, really nicely done. So thanks. Great work on the GM level. And as for us, just two things I want to mention. One, our own Speculate Patreon, which is what allows us to pay for audio editing and this stuff. We're trying to build that as well. So I hope you will consider, if you are watching on the channel, !Speculate. You can go support that. You can get in to see some of Mike's prep for this stuff, and can also see some bonus episodes that are only for Patreon supporting at a certain tier. For those of you listening, many of you will or won't know about this, but now you know about it. So if you're able to support it, please consider doing that so we can bring you this and even more content going forward. Also, I want to make a very quick announcement. I have been, of course, your host. Gregory Wilson is an author for Speculate folks, ArvinEleron for the folks on Twitch. I do want to announce that on Sunday, because this is going to be going up on YouTube tomorrow, so you'll still be able to see this. Sunday, I am going to be hosting. It'll be my honor to host at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, an Infernal Salon hosted by C.S.E. Cooney and Carlos Hernandez, in which they're going to bring together many, 15 plus anyway, authors who will be getting prompts from Claire and Carlos's upcoming game Negocias Infernales. They will have 30 minutes to write on that prompt, and then we'll read what they get to the audience and to my viewers, and all of this to benefit the Kickstarter supporting Strange Horizons, which is an awesome and important speculative fiction magazine that you should all check out. And so I am honored to be able to have that on my channel coming up this Sunday, Sunday the 24th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So I hope folks will consider checking that out and come back, of course, on Halloween time for Edgar Allan Poe reading later and earlier some Shiver with Brandon as GM and Mike and the Blades in the Dark crew, Strange Friends, going through Death of an Author, which I think is certainly makes sense that all the authors would agree to that. I can't imagine why there'd be a problem there. Anyway, this was was an awesome time. I really enjoyed it tonight, and good work from everybody. Chat, also good work from chat too. And chat, can we get some love for our wonderful players? Thank you so much again to Alex X, to DongWon Song, to Brandon O'Brien, and to Mike Underwood, our GM. Thank you to our Speculate listeners also. And I'm going to let the players go. Bye for now, everybody. And that is going to, they always think it'll be the other author. Yeah, exactly. That is going to be that for us today. And that was a blast. I really, some of that stuff, it was just so well set up by Mike and so well visualized. And then everyone had just badass moments, where you go through and you're just like, this is where it's at. There were some great moments there that I really enjoyed. And that thing with Cranel and the flower, which I had given him earlier on, for those of you who missed it, that's why that was significant. It was really awesome. So very well done. And I really enjoyed the Rebel Crown system in general. We have one more session left before this miniseries will come to a close. You're not going to want to miss that. As for us here, I will be back on this channel tomorrow. It is still tomorrow night at around 7 p.m. Eastern with the next session of Dungeons & Dragons with Infinity and Beyond, the Eberron crew playing our campaign Oracle of War. Voice in the Machine is the specific part of this. And this is going to be you will not want to miss this session, folks, because a lot of stuff that is central to the campaign is going to be happening here. So you will not want to miss it because it's going to be all that in a bag of chips. You will definitely want to be there for that. That is again happening tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, as I said, at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, then we will have the Infernal Salon to benefit the Strange Horizons Kickstarter. And then we'll be back on Tuesday with the Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And then more D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh on that Tuesday. One thing I do want to mention is that the nominations right now are up for our next game, which is the one that's going to be run here. I'm going to be closing that tomorrow. So you have until tomorrow to get in your votes for this. There is no game, Wrong Dimension, Ni no Kuni, and Siberia. Right now, there is no game, Wrong Dimension is winning over Ni no Kuni and Siberia, but now is your chance. Go ahead and get your vote on right now as we speak. And make sure you get your vote in for that, and I will do what I can to and integrate that. And as I say, tomorrow night after the D&D session, we will close that down, and that's what we will be playing on Tuesday. So that's what we've got going on there. Do Jen, Rob's awesome. Yeah. Do Jen, John, or Marie have Twitch streams? So the answer is no. None of them have Twitch streams as such. Marie, of course, has appeared on my channel in multiple fashions. So has Jen. And so has John, for that matter. But the Twitch streaming that they do is mostly here. There are different things that they may or may not do here and there. For example, I am going to be taking part in a... I don't know if they've announced it yet, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there is an event coming up to benefit another charity that is going to involve some regulars on this channel, and that may include some of the people just mentioned. And that will be in several games that will be getting hosted on this channel, so you might be able to see them there. But at the moment, they do not have streams, but I do, and you'll be able to see me there in various ways and capacities, and them there in various ways and capacities as well. But that is going to do it for us for tonight, though, folks. This was a great time. I had a great time doing it, and I hope you folks did as well. If you liked what you saw and heard, may I ask that you follow the channel? May I ask you to check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, the Discord with !ArvCord. Please sub to me over on that YouTube. It's free for you, but it really helps us. The Twitter, of course, is !ArvTweets. That definitely makes a difference. The website, arvanelleron.com, for all of that, of course. And I think I said Twitter, but that's !ArvTweets. Again, website, arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can get stuff for Infinity and Beyond, Adventures of Middle-earth, and soon to be Esper Genesis. That helps support the channel, as does the Patreon, !ArvTreon. But today I really hope you folks will check out the Speculate Patreon, which we really are trying to build. That's !Speculate. really want to build the Patreon for that, because it'll make it possible for us to do more of this stuff, and you can get more behind the scenes episodes and things like that from us. So I would love to see that. And I'm glad, Chenrizi, yeah, that's where we found you actually originally, as you came from that direction. So that's what we've got going on there. Definitely support the Speculate Patreon if you can. And of course, subbing to this channel is much appreciated. That allows you to get those awesome custom sub badges and emotes that you can use here, there, and everywhere across the Twitches, as they say. On the publishing side, my award-winning graphic novel Icarus is published by Athos Arts. Exclamation point Icarus for details about that. Exclamation point Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And exclamation point Greyshade KS for details about my coming soon TM Kickstarter with Greyshade, which is going to involve both Athos Arts and Alligator Alley. So I'm very excited about that. And last but certainly not least, if you haven't already done so, please consider supporting us by supporting the things that matter to us. And that means exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives in our society, and exclamation point Help Now, which is I say it just for the fun of it. Exclamation point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help, and to reach out to others when they need help as well. Now, let me just double check here and take a quick look and see what we've got. Who have we got on the docket? Oh, I see who we've got. Yes, and we've actually done this before. Okay, so I know exactly who we are going to raid, and the rating is very simple. If you are not a sub, you are going to do this, which is the Arvanets Have Landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this, which is the Arvanets Have Landed, and then you've got Arvany Hype, Arvany Roar, Arvany Woe. You got Twitch raid as well. Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, all the Arvanys, Arvany What, all the Arvanys when you are brought over automagically to the place that we are going to be raiding at the end of tonight's stream. Otherwise, I'm going to see you folks tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern for some D&D with INB, Eberron, Oracle of War, Voice in the Machine, again, which is part 2 of the campaign. Again, you will not want to miss that. I want to thank my wonderful people who made this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, The Rising Tides, and Trifity Mets. Thank you so much as well. It's with a capital H, Chenrizi. Arvany, but then capital H and then lowercase YP. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers. Thank you to Rock God, Shadowed Mage. Thank you to The Rising Tides. Thank you to Trifity Mets. Thank you to Chenrizi, Prince Justin, Timeos, Turbo Tango for all of the support as subscribers. Thank you, thank you. Thank you as well to Rudenel, who is a mod, so I don't know why he showed up down there. Thank you to Black Fury. Thank you to Echo, who supports us in Patreon and subbing, so thanks, Echo. Thank you to Elbra Tweets, Mrs. Dunsel, who's also a supporter, as is Nonstop, so clearly Chatty doesn't know what it's doing. Thank you to Spike Trap, V and K, and Zytim. Thank you so much to all of my wonderful people, and a special thanks tonight to the wonderful players, to Alex Acks, to DongWon Song, to Brandon O'Brien, and of course to Mike Underwood for his amazing GMing this evening. That's it for me. Everybody stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely folks tomorrow for some more Dungeons and Dragons. And this, of course, will be wrapping up. This mini campaign will wrap up next month. Until next time, everyone be good to each other, and I'll catch you folks soon. Bye for now.
So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions, as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's one vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are special to you? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are special to you.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days.
Are
You've
these
known
really your
those guns
friends?
a lot longer.
These are my babies.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest, this doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No.
This is
Like,
not.
don't do
the
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Doing this to an executioner.
Yeah, that's not
I
what
was
you
just
want.
like this, like
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh, man.
This theme's great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty. 1! I rolled a 1!
Yep.